Chapter 1735. The dragon sect had provoked the Long family. Would the Long family react? Everyone was looking at him. On the third day, the Long family suddenly declared war on the dragon sect. The entire continent was in an uproar. Who would win and who would lose? In the 9 heavens, thousands of miles of clouds. Longao and Long Tian looked at each other face to face. The fighting intent on their bodies continued to soar and collided with each other in the void of the 9 heavens. Longao, I won't fight with you today. Nonsense. Longao was very clear about his opponent's strength. Not to mention the primordial divine dragon, just Long Tian's strength was not something he could contend against. Unless he used the absolute heaven soul slave's power. But could he? Without a doubt, he definitely couldn't. No matter what, he had almost been discovered by the godly diviner. If he continued to use the absolute heaven soul slave's power, the consequences would be unimaginable. Long Tian, I'll definitely settle the enmity between us later. With just you? With a face full of contempt, Long Tian did not put Longao in his eyes at all. With man and dragon as one, Long Tian believed that even if he faced Xing Kuan, he could win, let alone Longao. Let's wait and see. Longao, I know you want to destroy my Long family and the dragon race. I've already declared war on you. Do you dare accept? Why wouldn't I dare? In any case, it was going to be a battle. Longao couldn't wait any longer. If he could destroy the Long family, then the dragon sect could replace the Long family. In that case, he would definitely abolish the hierarchy. In the future, whether it was the Martial Heaven continent or the 9 provinces continent, there would be no hierarchy. Longao, since you want to destroy me and I want to destroy you, then let's use the dragon race as the battlefield. How about it? No problem. Ha, good. I'll wait for you in the dragon race. I hope you won't disappoint me. After saying that, Long Tian turned and left, disappearing without a trace. Big brother Long, the dragon race has the power of the stars. If you rashly enter, I'm afraid you'll suffer. I know. How could Longao not know about Long Tian's schemes? It was precisely because of this that he wanted to enter the dragon clan to fighting poison with poison. Longao didn't want to dwell on this issue because he didn't want Bai Ling to worry about him. Bai Ling, how's your recovery? This was what Longao was really concerned about. My sister and I have recovered quite well. We've probably recovered to the Nirvana Fate Tribulation realm. I'm afraid it'll be a bit difficult to recover to the Starry Sky realm. Regarding this point, how could Longao not know? Given the current situation, there was indeed no good way to help Xiling and Bai Ling recover quickly. Brother Long, do you know why my sister and I are recovering so slowly? He shook his head. Longao's intuition told him that Bai Ling and Xiling definitely knew about this. Big brother Long, although the Martial Heaven continent is a medium-grade plane, the God Diviner has sucked away all of its origin energy. My sister and I are recovering very slowly here. If we can enter the Starry Sky, I'm sure our recovery speed will increase a lot. So that was the case. Longao understood Bai Ling's meaning. Even if he broke through to the Starry Sky realm in the Martial Heaven continent, there would still be great danger. Only by entering the Starry Sky would he be truly safe. Bai Ling, I know what you mean, but there are some things I must do. Once I'm done with the Martial Heaven continent, I'll go to the Starry Sky. Bai Ling didn't say anything. In her heart, she wanted nothing more than for Longao to break through to the Starry Sky realm and enter the Starry Sky. That way, even the God Diviner wouldn't be able to find her big brother Long. Both sides were doing their best to prepare. Boom, 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 boom. The void of the 9 heavens was suddenly filled with dark clouds. The purple clouds were rumbling non-stop. The dragon race wasn't just one of the 3 supreme beast races. They were also allied with the Long family. For the past 10,000 years, they had dominated the position of the 10 great sects. Back then, the dragon race was suppressed by the heaven's will and lost almost everything. But even so, the power of the dragon race was not to be underestimated. If not for the suppression of the heaven's will, the dragon race and the Long family would have been invincible in the 10 great sects. Outside the dragon race, in order to not damage the dragon sect's power, Longao had only brought 3 Nirvana realm martial artists and an army of 500,000 corpse slaves. In Longao's opinion, the army of 500,000 corpse slaves was enough. Even against the 3 super forces, the army of 500,000 corpse slaves was more than enough. As for the Nirvana realm martial artists of the 3 super forces, they were a big problem. Longao was very clear that if he used the power of the absolute heaven soul slaves, then he could deal with all the Nirvana realm martial artists in a few minutes at most. Could the absolute heaven soul slaves be sensed by the clairvoyant in a few minutes? This was a risk that Longao dared not take. One could never be too careful. If the clairvoyant sensed the power of the absolute heaven soul slaves in a few minutes, the consequences would be unimaginable. Master, we've received news that the Thousand Beasts sect has mobilized millions of spirit beasts to the dragon race. Not only that, the Martial Artists Alliance has also mobilized 5 million martial artists. We only have an army of 500,000 corpse slaves. If we want to fight the 3 of them alone, I'm afraid, Luli did not continue. Everyone knew that the 3 super forces were serious this time. With such a large army, it would be hard for the dragon race to defend against them. How could Longao not know what Elder Luli meant? His face was ugly. He had not expected the Martial Artists Alliance and the Thousand Beasts sect to be like this. They had mobilized all of their forces, millions of spirit beasts and 5 million martial artists. What kind of concept was that? What should he do? Even if he could use the reincarnation arts to break through the starry sky, the army of 500,000 corpse slaves would not be able to resist such an army. After all, the 3 super forces had more than 40 Nirvana realm martial artists. If he chose to fight them head-on, the chances of him losing were very high. Yun Luoshan walked over and said helplessly, "Master, this situation is very unfavorable for us. Should we enter the dragon race?" Before Longao could speak, more than 40 figures suddenly shot out from the dragon race. Each of them emitted a powerful aura. They were all Nirvana realm martial artists. The ones at the front were Long Tian, Tong Zun, and the Thousand Beasts ancestor. "Ha ha ha, Longao, aren't you arrogant? Since that's the case, why don't you dare to enter the dragon race and fight with us?" Provocation. Disdain, ridicule, disdain. Everyone's face was filled with disdain. Longao was the one who initiated the battle. At this time, Longao did not dare to enter the dragon race. It was simply a joke, a big joke. In everyone's view, Longao came here to bluff. Even if he had an army of 500,000 corpse slaves, what use would it be? Chapter 1736. Longao sneered. "Long Tian, I've always thought that there was something wrong with your character. Now it seems that you're shameless to the extreme." Without the slightest anger, Long Tian just looked at him coldly. "Long Tian, even if you're afraid of my dragon sect, you don't have to ask the Wan Shou sect and the Martial Artists Alliance to come. As long as you say that you're afraid, I can spare your life." Longao's face was full of disdain. The Long family accepted the Dragon Sect's challenge, but invited the Wan Shou sect and the Martial Artists Alliance to help. What did this mean? Although Long Tian's face was expressionless, he was extremely angry. Being challenged by Longao, but having to invite the Martial Artists Alliance and the Wan Shou sect to help was a great humiliation. Even with the help of the Dragon Sect, he was not afraid of Longao. The only thing Long Tian was afraid of was the army of 500,000 corpse slaves, not Longao. At this moment, the Wan Shou sect ancestor sneered, "Longao, the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. If we kill you and destroy the dragon sect in this battle, do you think anyone in the sky martial continent will remember you? Taking 3 steps back, Longao said, if that's the case, let's fight and see who wins and who loses. Along with Longao's command, the 500,000 corpse slaves behind him surged out violently. They were like densely packed killing machines. They were not afraid of any pain. Every corpse slave only had Longao's command in their heart. That was to kill people on sight. If they saw spirit beasts, they would exterminate spirit beasts. Let's retreat. Long Tian and the others obviously would not fight the army of 500,000 corpse slaves head-on. The 40 Nirvana realm warriors knew their limit. As the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. If they were surrounded by the corpse slaves, no one could predict the consequences. In the blink of an eye, the 40 Nirvana realm warriors had all disappeared and returned to the Dragon Valley. The 3 of you don't follow them in. Remember, no matter who comes out of the Dragon Clan, kill them all without mercy. If you encounter a powerhouse that you can't resist, the 3 of you must retreat immediately. Yes, the 3 of them replied in unison. The 3 of them knew very well that although their strength was not bad, compared to the 3 superpowers, they were far from enough. If they forced their way in, they would only implicate the sect master. Bear the brunt. Longao directly arrived in front of the army of 500,000 corpse demons. With a single stride, his entire person charged towards the Dragon Clan. He was not surprised to be suppressed by the power of the stars as soon as he stepped into the Dragon Clan. He had already guessed that even if Long Tian invited the Martial Artists Alliance and the Wan Shou sect to help, Long Tian would definitely use the power of the stars. The power of the stars was the most powerful force in the world. It was also the unique power of the Starry Sky Warriors. The power of the stars of the Dragon Clan was set up by the clairvoyant master 10,000 years ago in order to protect the Dragon Clan. Longao had already guessed that the clairvoyant master was not only a powerful Starry Sky Warrior, but also a genius in divination. Not only that, the clairvoyant master was also a Starry Sky Array master. Otherwise, the Dragon Clan would not have the power of the stars. The Starry Sky Array master was indeed a Starry Sky Array master. Longao could feel how powerful the array that stored the power of the stars was. Even the space-killing array, which was known as the number 1 array under the starry sky, could not be compared to this array. Longao stopped the army of 500,000 corpse demons from entering the Dragon Clan. The reason was simple. Even if the army of 500,000 corpse demons was extremely powerful, they could not compete with the power of the stars. Longao knew that if the army of 500,000 corpse demons rashly entered the Dragon Clan, there would only be one result. The army of 500,000 corpse demons would be completely destroyed by the power of the stars. Of course, Longao did not want to see such a result. Longao has been suppressed by the power of the stars. If nothing unexpected happens, Longao will undoubtedly die. Sensing that Longao had been suppressed, the primordial divine dragon said in surprise. But what made everyone curious was that Longao clearly knew that the Dragon Clan had the power of the stars, so why did he still take the risk to enter? Was he really not afraid of death? Longao was a smart person. It was impossible for him to enter rashly. Could it be that Longao had something to rely on? Other than the primordial divine dragon, no one else, including Longao, was pleasantly surprised. Because as long as Longao was not dead, it would not be considered their side's victory. Everyone was looking forward to Longao dying under the power of the stars. Because under normal circumstances, no matter who it was, even if it was a Nirvana reborn warrior, if they were suppressed by the power of the stars, only death would await them. Holding the reincarnation arts in hand, Longao, who had just entered the Dragon Clan and was suppressed by the power of the stars, made a backhand slash. It seemed ordinary, but in fact, Longao used the first form of the 36 reincarnation forms, reincarnation 9 slashes. 1 slash produced 9 slashes, and the 9 slashes of sword chi turned into a lightning-like attack, fiercely colliding with the power of the stars. Longao was full of confidence. According to the various battles in the past, his 36 reincarnation forms, combined with the reincarnation arts, could completely break through the power of the stars. This was the real reason why Longao dared to enter the Dragon Clan rashly. And the result? It didn't break through the power of the stars. Longao was completely dumbfounded. He didn't know what was going on, but Longao didn't give up at all. He continued to use the reincarnation 9 slashes, 1 slash after another, constantly attacking the power of the stars. In the void of the 9 heavens, thousands of miles of clouds, the godly mathematician and Long Batian stood at the top of the clouds, overlooking the battle in the Dragon Valley. Long Batian was very moved. He said helplessly, "My lord, why are you helping the Dragon Clan?" Long Batian was very curious. The godly mathematician had said before that he wouldn't interfere in the matters of the Tenside. If that was the case, why would the godly mathematician intervene in the battle between Longao and the Dragon Clan? If the godly mathematician hadn't strengthened the power of the stars of the Dragon Clan, Longao's reincarnation sword chi would have easily broken through the power of the stars. Long Batian didn't know why Longao was able to do this, but it was simply unbelievable that a Nirvana realm martial artist could do this. Nothing can happen to the Dragon Clan. As for the sword in Longao's hand, if I'm not wrong, it should be the legendary reincarnation sword. I'm very surprised that the legendary reincarnation sword of the 9 heavens had actually fallen into the hands of Longao. Reincarnation sword? Long Batian was shocked to hear this. Of course he knew what the reincarnation sword meant. It was the supreme treasure of the reincarnation clan, and also the super divine weapon of the strongest person of the reincarnation clan. Don't worry, Batian. If Longao had come from the reincarnation clan, maybe I would have intervened. It's just a sword, I don't care. No matter how strong a divine weapon is, it depends on who is using it. The godly mathematician obviously didn't want to continue, and Long Batian didn't dare to ask. My lord, according to the legends, as long as anyone obtains the 12 Chaos Tablets, they can become the ruler of the stars. Long Batian's meaning was clear. Strictly speaking, the Chaos Tablets were also divine weapons of the stars. If one could obtain the Chaos Tablets and hide in a random plane of the stars to cultivate, one could definitely become the ruler of the stars in the future. But the godly mathematician had just said that the divine weapon also depended on who had it. The two seemed to contradict each other. The godly mathematician obviously knew what Long Batian meant. He smiled and said, "What a joke. Even if someone obtains the Chaos Tablets, they can't become the ruler of the stars. Divine weapons are important, but the talent, potential, and even luck are also very important. Otherwise, when the 12 rulers of the stars fell, who knows how many people obtained the 12 Chaos Tablets? Have you ever heard of anyone who used the Chaos Tablets to become the new ruler of the stars? No. Long Batian was right. After the 12 rulers of the stars fell, no matter who obtained the Chaos Tablets, no one else became the ruler of the stars. Now that he thought about it, what Master Godly Mathematician said made sense. Divine weapons were important, but the talent, potential, and even luck were even more important. Batian, I've only strengthened the power of the stars, Long Batian said. As far as Longao is concerned, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Without experience, how can he grow stronger? Let's go. From now on, I won't interfere. As for the fate of the dragonfolk, that's up to them. Long Batian didn't say anything, nor did he try to help Longao. Even without Master Godly Mathematician, he still wouldn't do anything. It was just as Master Godly Mathematician had said. Without experience, how could he grow stronger? Without danger, how could he grow stronger? If he helped Longao, what would he do in the future if he encountered danger? Within the dragonfolk, Longao was still unable to break through the power of the starry sky around him. The more he attacked, the stronger the power of the starry sky around him seemed to be. Longao was depressed to the extreme. This time, he really miscalculated. He didn't expect that the power of the starry sky in the Dragon Clan would be so strong. You've lost, Longao. Suddenly, the voice of the primeval divine dragon rang out. Not only was Longao still alive, but he was also able to fight back against the power of the stars. Shocked, the divine dragon increased the intensity of his attacks, hoping to finish off Longao as quickly as possible. Even if you've lost, I won't lose. Longao was very clear that as long as he stopped attacking, he would be attacked by the power of the stars. At that time, even if his defense was strong, it would be difficult to resist the power of the stars. Since the first style of reincarnation didn't work, then he would use the second style of reincarnation. Longao was very clear about how powerful the 36 styles of reincarnation were. However, Longao hadn't succeeded in cultivating the second style of reincarnation yet. He used this opportunity to continuously use the second style of reincarnation, hoping to cultivate the second style of reincarnation as soon as possible. The first style of reincarnation was reincarnation 9/. As for the second style, it was reincarnation chaotic dance. According to the sword technique, once the second style was used, the sky would be filled with reincarnation sword chi. Its power was far stronger than reincarnation 9/. Chapter 1737. Under normal circumstances, it would probably take a month to cultivate the second form of reincarnation. But now Longao used the power of the stars around him to continuously practice the second form of reincarnation. The speed of Longao's sword became faster and faster. It was so fast that it was a bit abnormal. Gradually, layers of sword shadows appeared around Longao's body. It was as if a group of demons were dancing wildly. Longao was still alive? Seeing Longao, who was enveloped by the power of the starry sky, not only did he not die, he was even practicing some kind of martial skill. Everyone was shocked. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it. It was unbelievable. This person's talent and strength are too abnormal. If we don't get rid of him, I believe that in less than 10 years, no one will be a match for him. He was even more abnormal than Xing Kuan. It would be a lie to say that they weren't worried. Among all of them, Long Tian was probably the most depressed one. The reason was simple. Longao came from a Long family. If he had treated Longao well back then, things wouldn't have turned out this way. It was too late to say anything now. Big brother, is the power of the stars unable to kill Longao? As time passed, even the primordial divine dragon's confidence began to dwindle. If the power of the stars couldn't kill Longao, it would probably become the biggest joke of the continent in the past 10,000 years. Longao had to die. Long Tian's face was extremely gloomy. He said helplessly, Longao has been suppressed by the power of the stars. Even we can't enter. Everyone was very wary of the power of the stars because no matter who it was, as long as their cultivation hadn't broken through to the starry sky realm, they would be suppressed by the power of the stars and die. No one was willing to take the risk, including Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon. Everyone's face darkened as they tried to think of a way. At this moment, Sher Patian took a step forward and bowed respectfully. Ancestor, seniors, I have a way to kill Longao. Patian, tell us. The myriad beasts' ancestor was a little impatient, and so were the others. Ancestor, my idea is actually very simple. Although we can't enter the starry sky, we can work together and borrow the power of the divine artifact to attack Longao. I don't believe that Longao can multitask and resist our combined power. Good idea. No one objected because this was the only way and the best way under such circumstances. What divine weapon should he use? The Wanshou sect, the Martial Artists' Alliance, and the Long family all belonged to the 10 great sects, and had existed for 10,000 years. There was no need to mention the number of divine weapons they possessed. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing which divine artifact to use. At the same time, everyone looked at Shurpatian. Since it was Shurpatian who came up with this idea, they believed that Shurpatian must have already thought of what divine weapon to use. Senior Mystical Dragon, if I remember correctly, Lord Clairvoyant gave you a super legendary weapon back then. Everyone looked at the primordial divine dragon. This was no secret. Big brother. Nodding, Long Tian said, since things have already come to this, there's no harm in using it. However, God's left hand can only be used 3 times. Back then, in order to protect the Long family and the dragon tribe, we have already used it twice. There's only one left. At this point, Long Tian did not continue, but the disappointment on his face told everyone everything. Even Long Tian was reluctant to use the last chance. However, in order to kill Longao, Long Tian was obviously going all out. The primordial divine dragon nodded and did not continue to talk nonsense. He turned and left. About a few minutes later, the primordial divine dragon had successfully returned, holding a ball of light in his hand that looked like a human's palm. This was the god's left hand that the clairvoyant had given to the primordial divine dragon back then, and it had great power. Greed. Everyone had a deep greed in their hearts because they knew very well how powerful the god's left hand was. Since that's the case, we'd better act as soon as possible. If Longao escapes and uses the space divine item to leave, we won't be able to do anything. However, Tong Zun shook his head and said helplessly, everyone, think carefully. If we use the god's left hand to deal with Longao, not only Longao, but even Jianling's primordial spirit and Longao's secrets will disappear along with Longao. Everything else did not matter. Only Jianling's primordial spirit was something that everyone dreamed of obtaining. Give up just like that? Unwilling. Everyone was extremely unwilling in their heart. Even if they were unwilling, what could they do? The Wanshou ancestor obviously did not want to waste any more time. He was very afraid of Longao. Who knew how powerful Longao would become in the future? If Longao really became powerful, the Wanshou ancestor and the Wanshou ancestor would be the first to suffer. We can't care so much anymore. Longao must die. If we miss this opportunity, we won't be able to find another one. As for Jianling's primordial spirit, if we can't get it and force Longao to swallow Jianling's primordial spirit, the consequences will be unimaginable. Everyone's expression changed when they heard that. Previously, they only wanted to take away the Jianling's primordial spirit in Longao's body, but they never thought that if Jianling's primordial spirit was swallowed by Longao, once Longao reached the starry sky realm, no one would be a match for him. Under the starry sky, everyone was a nobody. Would the marvelous mathematician and Tian Dao offend a starry sky warrior for them? It was impossible. Thinking of this, everyone nodded. They had to deal with Longao first. As for whether they could get Jianling's primordial spirit or not, it was no longer important. Anyway, they couldn't get Jianling's primordial spirit, and Longao definitely couldn't swallow Jianling's primordial spirit. Everyone came out of the starry sky force and looked coldly at Longao, who was surrounded by sword chi. Brother, do it? Nodding, the primordial divine dragon took out the god's left hand and said, wait, as long as I activate the god's left hand, everyone will pour all your power into it. This kind of power, if I'm not wrong, should be comparable to the starry sky force. It might even be more difficult to kill it. Even if Longao has 3 heads and 6 arms, he won't be able to resist the god's left hand. Long Tian continued, we only have one chance. We can only succeed. Failure is not an option. There was only one chance left for the god's left hand to attack, and it was extremely important. Everyone nodded their heads in agreement. Just as everyone was about to pour their power into the god's left hand, the situation changed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless sword chi attacked like lightning bolts, shooting towards everyone. Sword chi followed by sword chi. It was like a group of swords dancing in the air. It was terrifying. Chapter 1738. Samsara Dance. After dozens of minutes of continuous practice, Longao finally mastered the second move of Samsara Dance. Everyone was shocked. No one expected that Longao, who was suppressed by the power of the starry sky, could still take the initiative to attack them. Without paying attention, everyone was caught off guard. There was only one result if they were caught off guard. They were all Nirvana Realm warriors. Even if they made a mistake, they would not be killed by the sword chi. However, the Nirvana Realm warriors who had comprehended heaven and earth were a little embarrassed. Except for dozens of people, including Long Tian, Wan Shou Ancestor, and Tong Zun, the rest were rolling and crawling. Yes, they were rolling and crawling. If this matter was spread out, everyone would be laughed at. They were the superior Nirvana Realm warriors. Ha ha, a group of cowards. Hearing the laughter from the power of the starry sky, everyone's face was extremely gloomy. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Sher Patian sneered and said, Longao, don't be complacent. We'll let you know what the price is later. No answer. Although Longao had practiced the so-called second move of Samsara, he knew very well that he could not break the power of the starry sky. What was going on? Until now, Longao had not figured it out. Even if Longao was beaten to death, he believed that he could not figure out the reason. It turned out that the marvelous mathematician secretly helped him. Otherwise, the Samsara skill alone was enough to break the power of the starry sky. What should he do? Longao, they are going to use the left hand of God. The left hand of God? What was that? Before Longao could ask, Xilin's voice came. The left hand of God is a divine weapon of the marvelous mathematician. Although it is the lowest level of the starry sky, it is still a divine weapon. Even if the user is a Nirvana Realm warrior, once more than 40 people work together, the power can be imagined. It was really a big trouble. Longao was not afraid at all. He knew Xilin's character very well. If he did not have a way to deal with it, Xiling would not speak at all. Xiling, do you have a good idea? He asked while using the Samsara sword to resist the suppression of the starry sky. The method is very simple. Wait for them to use God's left hand's power to enter this place. After that, you can use the power of the absolute heaven soul slave. If he used the power of an absolute heaven soul slave like this, there was a 100% chance that the God Diviner would discover it. This was simply causing trouble for himself. As if he could guess what Longao was thinking, Xiling spoke again. This is your chance. If it weren't for God's left hand's attack, Master God Diviner would definitely lock onto you if you use the power of an absolute heaven soul slave. But now, borrowing the power of God's left hand and using the power of absolute heaven's soul slaves, Longao began to understand. Would he really be able to hide from the clairvoyant master this way? Longao was very clear that he could not afford to make any mistake. Master God Diviner was different from Long Tian and the others. Once he was locked onto, there would be no hope for him to leave the Dragon Clan alive. Longao, don't worry. God's left hand's power is stronger than you think, especially when 40 of them join forces. Even Master God Diviner would not be able to lock onto you. Remember, don't use your power outside the starry sky. Otherwise, Master God Diviner will instantly lock onto you. So that's how it is. It was a pity. If he could use this opportunity to eliminate everyone in one fell swoop, then he could really sit back and relax. However, to be able to use this opportunity to break through the starry sky was a blessing in disguise. As if thinking of something, Longao immediately said, Xiling, if I use the power of the absolute heaven soul slaves to break through the starry sky, I still won't be able to hide from Master God Diviner. Master God Diviner was very clear about what it meant to be able to break through the starry sky. Longao, if I'm not wrong, Master God Diviner already knows about the reincarnation sword in your hand. Maybe he doesn't like the sword, or maybe he's afraid of the backlash from the reincarnation sword. No matter what the reason is, you'd better not break through the starry sky. Leave first. This battle was neither a loss nor a win. It was really speechless. However, Longao wasn't a wishy-washy person. He made a prompt decision. If he was trapped here, there would only be two outcomes. One was that he would be killed by the starry sky's power. The other was that he would forcibly use the power of absolute heaven's soul slave. Leave first. Outside the starry sky, everyone was a little dumbfounded because of what had just happened. Until now, they seemed to have not recovered from the shock. Longao must die. Everyone was furious. 40 people joined forces, but Longao was still suppressed by the power of the starry sky. Even like this, they were almost killed by Longao. It was simply unbearable. The chrysanthemum could endure, but the secret cave could not endure. Without any hesitation, the 40 people came outside the starry sky again. Everyone poured all their power into God's left hand without any reservation. If everyone knew that Longao not only had Jianling's primordial spirit in his body, but also an 8th-rank corpse slave, who knew what they would think? Because such an existence could kill them in minute. God's left hand integrated the power of more than 40 Nirvana realm martial artists. Its power was enough to contend with the starry sky. It directly rushed towards Longao, who was suppressed by the starry sky. It came at the right time. Longao didn't have the slightest fear. Instead, he was delighted. Originally, according to his strength, it was almost impossible to break through the current power of the starry sky. But now, it seemed that more than 40 people had helped him a lot. If everyone knew that he went for wool and came home shorn, who knew if they would vomit blood from anger? Just when the power released by God's left hand was about to reach him, absolute heaven's soul slave suddenly appeared in front of him. With a finger, the starry sky domain enveloped the power. No matter how powerful God's left hand was, it could not contend against the starry sky domain. The two of them were not on the same level. Here's my chance. The two forces collided with each other and a hole opened in the starry sky. Longao took advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take a step forward and leave the suppression of the starry sky. With Longao's departure, the power also disappeared. Everything returned to normal. Where is he? Looking at Longao, who had disappeared from the starry sky, everyone was dumbfounded, especially Primordial Divine Dragon and Long Tian. This time, they had used the power of God's left hand for the last time. If they could not kill Longao, they would suffer a great loss. Everyone was depressed to the extreme. No one could imagine how Longao could leave the starry sky. If they did not see it with their own eyes, no one would be willing to believe it. They looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness and curiosity in each other's eyes. Chapter 1739. Old men, hurry up and get out here. Just as no one knew where Longao had gone, Longao's voice rang out from outside the dragon race. They were all shocked and immediately left the dragon clan. Outside the dragon race, when everyone came out and saw Longao, they were all dumbfounded. No one knew how Longao had come out. Longao, how did you do it? Do you really want to know? Longao looked from left to right, shook his head, and said mockingly, "The three superpowers, the rulers of the Sky Martial Continent, are still unable to keep me. If I were you, I would directly buy 2 pounds of tofu and go home to die. Is there any meaning in living?" Disdain. Naked disdain. They wanted to retort, but they couldn't find a reason to. That was because they knew Longao was telling the truth. The Martial Artists Alliance, the Long family, and the Myriad Beast Gate were all superpowers that could shake the martial heaven continent with just a stomp of their feet. But now? The three of them working together hadn't been able to keep Longao here. That was a great humiliation. Sherpatian took a step forward and sneered. Longao, do you really think you can contend against the three of us? Sherpatian, I'll settle the enmity between us sooner or later. In the outer sea, within the Crystal Palace, Master God Diviner, who had been resting with his eyes closed, suddenly opened them. He smiled and said, "The dragon race has used God's left hand. If Longao can survive this, then he has passed my test. I hope he won't disappoint me." After muttering to himself, the God Diviner closed his eyes again. Sherpatian sneered at Longao's words. He didn't place Longao in his eyes at all. In his opinion, if it weren't for the fact that Longao had Jianling's Yuan spirit, his cultivation speed wouldn't have been so fast. If it was a one-on-one fight, he might not be a match for Longao. However, would the entire sect be afraid of Longao? If Longao could destroy the sect, he would have done it long ago. Why would he wait until now? As long as he had the support of his sect, he would not be afraid of Longao. Longao, I formally challenge you now. Do you dare to accept? With the full support of the Myriad Beasts sect and the personal protection of the Myriad Beasts Patriarch, Sherpatian finally broke through to the Chi cycle multiplication stage, one whole level higher than Longao. What kind of concept was that? In the 5 realms of Nirvana, each step was like ascending to the heavens. The difference between each realm was huge. Under normal circumstances, a martial artist who was in the union of heaven and man would not be able to defeat a martial artist who was in the heavenly cycle reproduction realm. That was indeed the case. In Sherpatian's opinion, if they were to fight with their true strength, Longao would not be his opponent at all. Challenge me? Longao laughed. His laughter was full of mockery. Enraged, Sherpatian said, "Longao, don't you dare to accept my challenge?" "Why wouldn't I dare?" Without waiting for Sherpatian to speak, Longao continued, "Sherpatian, I have no problem accepting your challenge. How about we make a bet? Do you think I'm afraid of you? If I lose, not only will I kill myself here, but I will also give you my Jianling primordial spirit and all my treasures. How about that?" Sherpatian asked, "What if I lose?" "It's very simple. As long as you lose, you just have to promise me one thing." "What is it?" For some reason, he had a bad feeling in his heart. Could it be that Longao was already prepared? That should not be. The challenge was just proposed by him. Longao did not know at all. Or could it be that Longao was very confident in his strength and did not take him seriously at all? Thinking of this, Sherpatian was furious. He had already broken through to the multiplication cycle realm, while Longao was still at the one with the world realm. The difference between the two of them was self-evident. If he wanted to defeat Longao, it would be as easy as flipping his hand. "If you lose, you just have to give me a drop of your blood." "A drop of blood?" Hearing Longao's words, not only Sherpatian, even the others were extremely curious. They didn't know what blood Longao was talking about. "Longao, cut the crap. What kind of blood is it? 3-eyed golden ape? You're courting death." This time, the one who spoke was not Sherpatian, but the Myriad Beast ancestor. If it was any other blood, they wouldn't have any problems. Only this 3-eyed golden ape's blood could not be handed over. Everyone knew what this 3-eyed golden ape Longao was talking about. Not just them, but anyone in the martial heaven continent who had even the slightest bit of knowledge knew what it was. The 3-eyed golden ape had been accidentally trapped by the Myriad Beast ancestor. It was an auspicious beast of heaven and earth. In other words, wherever it went, the spiritual chi would increase by 10 times. That was how the Myriad Beast sect had treated it as its guardian divine beast. Not only that, the 3-eyed golden ape was not only an auspicious beast, but its blood was also a priceless treasure. Every drop was extremely difficult to obtain. Once, the three-eyed golden ape had cut open its own skin to obtain a drop of blood. In the end, it had taken the three-eyed golden ape 3 days and 3 nights to obtain a drop of blood. It could be imagined just how amazing the three-eyed golden ape's blood was. It was said that as long as a cultivator swallowed a drop of the three-eyed golden ape's blood, no matter how serious their injuries were, they could instantly recover and even increase their strength. If it weren't for the fact that the Wanshou sect was so powerful, many people would be willing to obtain the three-eyed golden ape. Whether you're willing or not is up to you. Trust me, with my divine abilities, leaving this place will be easy. Shurpatian turned to the myriad beast ancestor. He couldn't make the decision regarding the three-eyed golden ape. Only the myriad beast ancestor had this authority. The myriad beast ancestor naturally wasn't willing. Each drop of the three-eyed golden ape's blood was a priceless treasure. Even if he was willing, the three-eyed golden ape might not be willing. In the end, the myriad beast ancestor didn't believe that Shurpatian could defeat Longao. Otherwise, why would he be so hesitant? Let alone Shurpatian, the myriad beast ancestor didn't even have complete confidence in Tong Zun challenging Longao. If Shurpatian really was defeated, wouldn't he be suffering a double loss? So you don't dare? Since you don't dare, why are you hesitating? Brother Shur, let's talk somewhere else. Nodding their heads, the myriad beast ancestor, Tong Zun, Long Tian, and Shurpatian walked to the back. As for Longao, he wasn't in a hurry. As long as he didn't enter the Dragon Clan, it wouldn't be easy for them to keep him here. As for the three-eyed golden ape's blood, he was determined to obtain it. Because of this, he wasn't in a hurry. As long as Shurpatian and the myriad beast ancestor agreed, everything would be fine. P.S. Tomorrow it will begin at midnight. Brothers who have votes after midnight, remember to vote for Little 9. Chapter 1740. Brother Tong, Brother Long, do you really think that Patian can defeat Longao? No, it's impossible. Tong Zun and Long Tian spoke at the same time without any hesitation. In their eyes, even if Shurpatian was stronger than Longao, it was impossible for him to defeat Longao. Longao could not be compared to an ordinary person. Hearing this, Shurpatian was enraged to the extreme. Contempt. It was a blatant disdain. The two, including the ancestor, did not take him seriously. No matter what, he was still a martial artist. How could he not defeat a martial artist who had achieved unity of heaven and man? Endure. He had to endure, especially under such circumstances. Clenching his fists, Shurpatian knew that he could only win this battle. Otherwise, there would be no place for him in the Wanshou sect in the future. If that's the case, how can I accept this battle? If he had full confidence, the Wanshou sect ancestor would have accepted without hesitation. But now? He had no chance of winning. Once he accepted the battle, he would be handing over a drop of three-eyed golden ape's blood. It was too precious. If it was something else, he would have let it go. Tong Zun smiled and said, Brother Shur, Brother Long and I have a way to let Shurpatian win. What way? He could not wait. If Patian won, not only would he be able to kill Longao, he would also be able to obtain Jianling's primordial spirit. The Wanshou sect ancestor had already thought about it. Once he obtained Jianling's primordial spirit, he would immediately flee. With his strength, as long as the two Starry Sky martial artists did not come, he could wait until he had devoured Jianling's primordial spirit. It's simple. As long as Brother Long uses God's left hand, killing Longao will be a matter of minutes. God's left hand? Everyone knew that God's left hand could only be used 3 times. It had already been used the last time. In other words, God's left hand was useless. Long Tian smiled and said, Everyone knows that the God's left hand that Mr. God Diviner gave me can only be used 3 times. No one knows that it can be used 4 times. So that's how it is. A few minutes later. Longao, I promise you. Longao was a little surprised. Since the 3 of them knew that Sherpatian was no match for him, why did they still agree? Could there be something fishy about this? However, things had already come to this point. Longao knew that there was nothing he could do. Everyone, including the army of 500,000 corpse slaves, retreated, leaving only Longao and Sherpatian in the middle. You look at me and I look at you. Their fighting spirits soared up and collided fiercely with each other. Longao, the grudge between us will be completely resolved today. With a big stride, Sherpatian's figure had already dashed out. Before the person arrived, the terrifying fist shadow had already arrived. This time, Longao did not use the Samsara sword. Instead, he used his fists and prepared to fight with his fists. The annihilation palm used the fist as a palm. Terrifying fist shadows collided with each other. In just a few seconds, the 2 of them had already fought dozens of rounds. Longao's talent is unrivaled since the beginning of time. Tong Zun and Long Tian nodded in agreement. Even if they did not want to believe it, Longao's talent and potential were there. In just a few years, he could reach this step. Longao was worthy of being called the number 1. The more it is like this, the more Longao has to die. This person cannot be left alive. Otherwise, we will all be in trouble in the future. The 3 of them were very worried because Longao's talent was too terrifying. The battle continued to escalate. The 2 of them knew that they could not lose. Otherwise, they would be doomed eternally. There was a huge gap between Longao and Sherpatian. However, Longao used the Starry Sky martial skill. It was not a problem who would win this battle. Innate superpower Dragon Roar. When the Dragon Roar sounded, Sherpatian found that the space around him had changed. Everyone knew about Longao's innate superpower. Among the countless people in the Dragon Clan, only Longao and Long Tian had the Dragon Roar superpower. However, if they were to compare their innate superpower, Longao's innate superpower was still better. Sherpatian did not continue to fight with Longao. Instead, he used all his strength to break the flow of space around him. He knew that once his body was locked, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Time Ultimate Skill. The Dragon Roar was just a cover. Longao was really going to use the Time Ultimate Skill. The reason was simple. Everyone knew about his innate superpower. However, no one knew about his Time Ultimate Skill. Because of this move could be used to win by surprise. There were a total of 3 sure kill time skills. They were Time Rewind, Time Forbid, and Time Advance. Longao did not know which of the 3 Time Ultimate skills was more powerful. However, with his current strength, the 3 Time Ultimate skills could be merged together. In other words, the change in the flow of time could not only change his speed, but also the speed of his opponent. As for Time Prohibition, it was a suppressive Time Ultimate skill. Unless it was a last resort, Longao would never use Time Prohibition. Once it backfired, it would really be like trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. Time Martial Skill? This is a Time Martial Skill. My god, Longao actually has a Time Martial Skill. Previously at Phoenix Peak, Longao had already used a Time Martial Skill. However, other than a few people, no one knew that Longao's Time Martial Skill was the most powerful Time Martial Skill in the world. Tong Zun, Long Tian, and Wan Shou Ancestor all knew about it. That was why the 3 of them wanted to kill Longao. In that case, not only could they obtain the Jianling primordial spirit in Longao's body, but they could also obtain the treasures in Longao's possession. They could even obtain the Time Martial Skill. Once a Nirvana Rebirth martial artist had a Time Martial Skill, their chances of winning would greatly increase. Time Martial Skill? Sherpatian was also shocked. He had heard of Time Martial Skills. Just the legends alone were enough to scare him. In the past 10,000 years, There had never been a time martial skill in Tianwu continent. Longao's time martial skill was probably the only time martial skill. Sure Potion's face was also filled with greed. Before he could finish being greedy, he had already discovered that the flow of time around him had been forcefully changed. Originally, their speed was about the same, but suddenly Sure Potion discovered that his speed had suddenly slowed down. Not only that, Longao's speed had instead become faster and faster. Was this the power of a time martial skill? Longao, I will let you experience the power of God's left hand. Chapter 1741. God's Left Hand? Of course, Longao had heard of the legend of God's left hand. God's left hand was passed down to the Dragon Clan to protect them. Although God's left hand was powerful, it could only be used 3 times. In that case, how could Sure Potion still use God's left hand? Could there be a second God's left hand? Impossible. Without a second God's left hand, Longao was very clear that there was only one possibility. The Dragon Clan had fooled the world. God's left hand could not only be used 3 times, it could be used a 4th time. This was a big problem. God's left hand was a true universe divine tool. Although it was the lowest grade, its power was extraordinary. Why would God's left hand be given to the Dragon Clan? Longao could not figure it out. Perhaps the world could not figure it out. Right at this moment, the God's left hand in Sure Potion's hand suddenly released a powerful light that shot out in all directions. The biggest secret of God's left hand was that when it was used for the 4th time, it would possess the power of the stars. No matter what, God's left hand was a true universe divine tool. Under the starry sky, no one could defeat it. God's left hand could be used a total of 4 times. When God's diviner passed it to Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon, he had said that unless it was a life and death situation, they must not use it for the 4th time. In order to kill Longao, Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon had put in a lot of effort. The terrifying power of the starry sky turned into the power of thunder and lightning, and directly struck towards Longao. Once struck, death was certain. Longao was finished. Seeing this situation, everyone knew that Longao could not resist the attack of God's left hand. Longao was also shocked. He never thought that God's left hand would be so powerful. What should he do? Should he use the power of the Absolute Heaven Soul Slave? If he used the power of the Absolute Heaven Soul Slave, he would be locked on by God's diviner. If he did not use the power of the Absolute Heaven Soul Slave, he would not be able to resist the attack of the universe divine tool. Should he use it, or not? After thinking about it, in the end, Longao was still not prepared to use the Absolute Heaven Soul Slave. Longao didn't sit there and wait for death. In this battle, he also wanted to see if he could block the attacks of God's left hand. Firmament Devouring Art. At the same time that Longao executed the Firmament Devouring Art, a massive black vortex appeared behind him and began devouring everything around it. Boom! The starry sky thunder struck Longao's back. Strictly speaking, it struck the black vortex behind Longao. Longao was also taking a risk. If the Firmament Devouring Art failed to devour the starry sky lightning, the consequences would be unimaginable. Only death would await him. Take a gamble. Longao was betting that he would definitely win. The attack stopped and God's left hand turned into ashes, vanishing without a trace. There were a total of 4 times, and he had used them all. It would be a lie to say that he didn't feel the pinch. But if he could kill Longao, it would be worth it. If it were in the past, Long Tian would definitely not have used God's left hand. But things were different now. Long Tian had already obtained the source of power. Within 3 years, he would definitely be able to break through to the starry sky state. By then, the universe divine tool would no longer be of any use. A starry sky martial artist could kill any nirvana state martial artist in a second. This was Long Tian's wishful thinking. Longao did not move at all, but Shurpatian was elated. He knew that under the attack of God's left hand, there was no way Longao could have survived. Now that he thought about it, he felt a lingering fear. If it wasn't for God's left hand, he believed that he wouldn't be a match for Longao at all. This was especially so when Longao used that sure kill skill at the end. Longao was dead? Master! Before the three of them could even move, a voice rang out in their ears. The three of them stopped dead in their tracks. It's really comfortable. Just when everyone thought that Longao was dead, Longao suddenly stretched his body and shouted, "It's really comfortable." Everyone was dumbfounded. They had no idea what was going on. Longao, you. Shurpatian stammered. Shurpatian couldn't finish what he wanted to say. He simply couldn't believe that Longao could survive under the attack of God's left hand. It was simply inconceivable. Not to mention Shurpatian, everyone was shocked, especially Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon. The two of them knew how powerful God's left hand was when it was used for the last time. Not to mention Longao, even they, including Tong Zun, Wan Shou Ancestor, and even Xing Kuan, wouldn't be able to withstand such an attack. In that case, how did Longao withstand it? Impossible. Even at this moment, Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon were unwilling to believe that Longao could withstand the attack of God's left hand. Longao smiled. Shurpatian, our battle isn't over yet. If I can't defeat you in 10 moves, I'll kill myself. Arrogance. If other cultivators in the unity of heaven and man realm dared to say such words, they would be ridiculed by everyone. However, no one dared to underestimate Longao because Longao had the ability to do so. Although everyone knew that the reason why Longao was able to resist God's left hand was definitely not because of his own strength, this in itself already showed that Longao's strength was definitely not simple. Continue the battle? If it was before, Shurpatian would still be confident, especially with God's left hand. But now, Shurpatian didn't have the slightest bit of confidence. If they continued the battle, he would definitely lose. Although Shurpatian didn't reject Lin Fan, his actions told everyone that he was afraid. Patian, admit defeat. Admit defeat? Hearing the ancestor's words, Shurpatian felt a deep sense of loss and defeat. He had never thought that the ant that he could crush to death back then would be able to shake his strength now. If it weren't for the ancestor and the others, he probably would have died already. How many years had it been? He didn't want to believe it, but the truth was right in front of him. He had no choice but to accept it. Sighing deeply, he turned and left. He didn't admit defeat, but he had already lost. The myriad beast patriarch definitely wouldn't deny it. After all, with so many people watching, if they didn't admit defeat, how would the myriad beast patriarch stand on the martial heaven continent? Myriad beast patriarch, since you've lost, shouldn't you fulfill your promise? Longao wasn't the slightest bit surprised. If Shurpatian dared to continue the battle, he wouldn't be Shurpatian. However, he wasn't planning on killing Shurpatian. He just wanted to obtain the three-eyed golden ape's blood. As for Shurpatian, he could kill him at any time. Chapter 1742. Longao, whether or not you can get the blood will depend on your luck. I can't help you. You want to go back on your word? Longao was curious. Although they had not made a blood oath, the Thousand Beasts' ancestor should not go back on his word under such circumstances. He shook his head. Longao, since you know about the three-eyed golden ape, I believe that you also know about the three-eyed golden ape situation. Even a drop of three-eyed golden ape's blood is extremely rare. Even I may not be able to obtain it. What do you mean? Longao had a rough understanding of the three-eyed golden ape. Longao only had one reason for wanting the blood of the three-eyed golden ape, and that was to make pills. Previously, there were thousands of people in the dragon sect who had obtained the divine Tao inheritance, but were unable to break through to the divine Tao realm. If Longao succeeded in making the pills, not only would they be able to break through to the divine Tao realm, but they would also be able to advance quickly. The catalyst for this pill was the blood of the three-eyed golden ape. Other than that, Longao also heard Xiling say that as long as Aoshue could devour the blood of the three-eyed golden ape, it would not fall into a coma for a few years even if it did not devour other powers. Because of this, he had to get the blood of the three-eyed golden ape. He waved his hand. "Old Sure, why did you summon me? Three-eyed golden ape?" Seeing the three-eyed golden ape appear beside the thousand beasts' ancestor, everyone's eyes widened. This legendary auspicious beast was rarely seen in 100 years. Three-eyed golden ape, Level 1 Nirvana Divine Beast. The 5 Nirvana realms were divided into Level 1 Nirvana Divine Beast, Level 2 Nirvana Divine Beast, Level 3 Nirvana Divine Beast, Level 4 Nirvana Divine Beast, and Level 5 Nirvana Divine Beast. The three-eyed golden ape's strength was only equivalent to a unity of heaven warrior. "Brother Three-Eyed, someone wants your blood." F***ck. It was a simple word, but the three-eyed golden ape's meaning was clear. He would not give it to him. As for whether or not the thousand beasts' ancestor had told him beforehand, no one knew. Shrugging his shoulders helplessly, the myriad beasts' ancestor said helplessly, "Longao, it's not that I don't want to give it to you, it's just that Brother Three-Eyed doesn't want to." Shameless. One had to admit that the myriad beasts' ancestor was shameless to the extreme. However, no one on the scene spoke. Everyone was eager for Longao to die. Longao didn't say anything. He just stood there. Right at this moment, the reincarnation avatar suddenly appeared in front of the thousand beasts' ancestor. His face was expressionless as his left palm slammed towards the thousand beasts' ancestor. As for his right hand, he grabbed the three-eyed golden ape and threw it into the dragon seal space. Things happened too suddenly. If the three-eyed golden ape had been prepared, even if it was not as strong as the reincarnation avatar, it would not have been thrown into the dragon seal space. The myriad beast's ancestor was shocked when he saw the three-eyed golden ape suddenly disappear. He immediately threw out a punch. The myriad beast's ancestor did not move, but the reincarnation doppelganger was forcefully sent flying like a kite with a broken string. He was overjoyed. The defensive power of the samsara doppelganger was very strong. Unless it was a starry sky martial artist, even a nirvana rebirth martial artist would not be able to break through the defensive power of the samsara doppelganger. In midair, the reincarnation doppelganger had already disappeared and returned to Longao's dantian. "Longao, you're courting death? Myriad beasts' ancestor, you're the one who was heartless first. Don't blame me for being unjust. Let's make a bet. As long as Shurpatian loses to me, you'll give me a drop of the three-eyed golden ape's blood. Since you didn't keep your promise, then I won't be polite and will take it myself." Other than the myriad beast's ancestor, everyone else was dumbfounded. They did not know what to say. Things happened too suddenly. Until now, no one had reacted. "All right, Longao, as long as you release the three-eyed golden ape, I'll give you a drop of blood. How about it? Do you think I'll believe you?" Furious, but for the three-eyed golden ape, the myriad beast's ancestor forcefully suppressed his anger. Now that the three-eyed golden ape was in Longao's hands, what would he do if something happened to it? He had to protect the three-eyed golden ape first. "Longao, what do you want?" "Humph, myriad beast's ancestor, I've already said that you're the one who went back on your word. Don't blame me. I won't return the three-eyed golden ape to you. If you want it back, you'll have to rely on your own ability." Longao was no fool. He would definitely not hand over the three-eyed golden ape. Even if a drop of blood was refined into an elixir, the medicinal effect would be greatly reduced. If a tenth of the three-eyed golden ape's blood was refined into an elixir, and the rest was given to the Aoshue, the consequences would be dire. Long Tian, I won't let this go so easily. I'll definitely return in the future. Without breaking through the Dragon Clan's cosmic energy, Longao was clear that there was no way he could win this battle. Since that was the case, why waste time here? As the saying goes, revenge is a dish best served cold. As long as he could think of a way to break through the Dragon Clan's cosmic energy, then he might be able to defeat the Dragon Clan with his army of 500,000 corpse slaves. Otherwise, he might not even have a chance. Leaving just like that? But would the myriad beasts' ancestor agree? Would Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon agree? Would Tong Zun agree? Now that the three superpowers had joined hands, if they allowed Long Ao to leave just like that, where would their dignity go? Especially the myriad beasts' ancestor. Not only did they fail to kill Long Ao, but the three-eyed golden ape was also taken away by Long Ao. How could the myriad beasts' ancestor accept this? With a single step, all the Nirvana realm martial artists attacked with all their might. As long as they could kill Long Ao, there was no doubt that not only would the myriad beasts' ancestor be able to take back the three-eyed golden ape, they would also be able to split the Jianling primordial spirit in Long Ao's body, the treasures, and even the time martial technique. Long Ao naturally did not dare to face the combined attack of more than 40 Nirvana realm martial artists. Instead, he directly entered the Dragon Seal space. Not only that, but the army of 500,000 corpse slaves also disappeared with Long Ao, as well as Yun Luoshan and the other two. It was completely empty. We overlooked the spatial ripples. Long Ao must have used a spatial artifact to leave. Deep helplessness. No one had expected that Long Ao would escape. Perhaps they were too confident. This time, none of the three superpowers used a spatial artifact to interfere with the spatial ripples. It was truly a mistake. Anger, unwillingness, regret. This battle was simply a disgrace to the three superpowers. Not only did Long Ao successfully escape, he even used God's left hand twice and lost the three-eyed golden ape. Among the three superpowers, only the Martial Artists Alliance did not suffer a single loss. Even so, Tong Zun sighed. Long Ao was simply too unpredictable. If he was not eliminated as soon as possible, there would be endless trouble in the future. Long Ao, even if you run to the ends of the earth, I will tear you into pieces. The myriad beasts' ancestor roared towards the sky. He had lost the three-eyed golden ape for nothing. He could completely imagine the fate of the three-eyed golden ape. P.S. I'll send 3 chapters first. Little 9, wait and see if you can continue writing. If you can't, you can continue tomorrow. There are at least 10 chapters today. There are still 7 chapters left. If anyone has a vote, please vote for Long Ao. Little 9, thanks. Chapter 1743. Long Family. Inside the main hall, Long Tian, the myriad beast's ancestor, and Tong Zun's faces were extremely gloomy and unsightly. Other than Tong Zun, the other 2 families had suffered losses. Long Tian had lost the last 2 uses of God's left hand. As for Thousand Beasts' ancestor, he had lost the three-eyed golden ape. What should we do now? The Thousand Beasts' ancestor forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart and said fiercely, "The plan now is for the 3 of us to join forces and head to the massacre abyss. I don't believe that we won't be able to kill Long Ao with the 3 of us joining forces." The massacre abyss was the headquarters of Dragon Sect. It was no secret. As for Dragon Valley, ever since the previous incident, the 3 families had never thought about it again. Brother Sure, don't be rash. Don't be rash? If it weren't for the alliance, Thousand Beasts' ancestor would have cursed. F***CKU, I lost the three-eyed golden ape, how can I not be rash? Thousand Beasts' ancestor was certain that Long Ao would kill the three-eyed golden ape after obtaining it. After all, that was the only way to obtain more blood. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have done it. At that moment, the myriad beasts' ancestor was filled with regret. Tong Zun said helplessly, "Brother Shi, Brother Long, I know you're angry, but the current situation is very disadvantageous for us. Without the suppression of the Dragon Clan's power, how can we resist the 500,000 corpse slaves?" 500,000 corpse slaves? Tong Zun and Thousand Beasts' ancestor felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over their heads. That's right, Dragon Sect had always had an army of 500,000 corpse slaves. With just 5 million martial artists and over 1 million spiritual beasts, it was unknown if they could resist the 500,000 corpse slaves. What should they do? Were they going to let Longao go just like that? They couldn't accept it. They couldn't accept it. In the Sky Martial Continent, Dragon Sect had fought against 3 superpowers alone. Although they hadn't heavily injured the 3 superpowers, Dragon Sect had retreated. At this moment, everyone knew that Dragon Sect's strength had reached this level. They had thought. Longao only relied on luck to enter the 10-direction tripod. The strength of the Dragon Sect was there. If the other 9 super forces wanted to destroy the Dragon Sect, it was simply a matter of minutes. The result? Shock. The Dragon Sect's army of 500,000 corpse slaves was comparable to an army of 5 million cultivators. With such a terrifying strength, unless one was blind, no one would take the opportunity to provoke a plague god. As for Jianling's primordial spirit, no one was willing to snatch it before they had full confidence. Otherwise, it would be a tragedy if they went for wool and came home shorn. Many people could not understand why Longao did not devour Jianling's primordial spirit himself. It was common knowledge. Longao's cultivation had already broken through the Nirvana realm. As long as he devoured Jianling's essence spirit, his chances of breaking through to the Starry Sky realm in the future would be very high. Was Jianling's primordial spirit really Longao's wife? It was simply impossible. In everyone's opinion, the reason why Longao acted this way was nothing more than an excuse. With the ceasefire of the 10 forces, whether it was the second-rate sects, third-rate sects, or fourth-rate sects, all of them stopped fighting. After less than a year of turmoil, the new structure of the continent had been re-established. There were countless casualties. Some people did a rough calculation. This time, the continent had lost tens of millions of cultivators. What kind of concept was that? Although the entire Sky Martial Continent, including the 9 States continent and the Western Region continent, had a total population of tens of billions, it could not bear such a loss. Massacre Abyss. Within Dragon City, the 4 people who had successfully returned all let out a long sigh of relief. They had been lucky in this battle. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unthinkable. The 3 of you will guard the Massacre Abyss. Remember, if the 3 families come, you just need to close your doors and not come out. Master, you're leaving? The Master's decision to leave at this time was a bit. However, no one objected to the Master's decision. Longao was the master of the sect, not them. Yes, I just obtained the 3-eyed golden ape. I need to hurry back to Dragon Valley. Aoshue needs the 3-eyed golden ape. The pill could be delayed, but Aoshue could not. That was because Longao didn't know when Aoshue would faint. According to Xiling, the more times Aoshue fainted, the worse it would be for Aoshue and the child in her womb. That was why Longao was so impatient to obtain the 3-eyed golden ape. So it was because of this. The 3 of them were very clear about the relationship between Longao and Aoshue. They didn't say anything, just nodding. Longao did not hesitate in the slightest when he said to leave. As soon as Longao left the Slaughter Abyss, news spread that the Myriad Beast Sect had planted spies in the Dragon Sect. This kind of thing was unavoidable. It was normal for spies to be planted in each other. The Myriad Beast's ancestor, who had just received the news, immediately stood up. Longao had left in the direction of the Jiuzhou continent. If they continued to chase, they would definitely not be able to catch up to Longao. Once Longao entered the Dragon Valley, it would be extremely difficult to kill Longao and take back the three-eyed golden ape. The only way was to kill Longao midway. If it was in the past, the myriad beast ancestor would definitely have acted alone. If it was for no other reason than to take Jianling's Yuan spirit for himself, he definitely wouldn't do that now. The reason was simple. In his opinion, it was unknown whether or not he could keep Longao here. As a result, the myriad beast ancestor invited Tong Zun and Long Tian to the border between the 9 provinces continent and the martial heaven continent, hoping to kill Longao there. They waited. Is it possible that Longao isn't going to Dragon Valley? Although they were certain that Longao was going in that direction, they didn't know whether or not Longao was going to Dragon Valley. If he wasn't, wouldn't it be pointless for the 3 of them to wait here? The myriad beast ancestor sneered. Longao stole my three-eyed golden ape. I've already investigated why. His wife, Aoshue, seems to be in trouble. She needs to devour the three-eyed golden ape's blood essence to get better. According to my guess, Longao will definitely go to Dragon Valley to save his wife. So that's how it was. The 2 of them didn't ask any more questions. They knew that the myriad beast ancestor definitely had a spy. As for why he was able to investigate so clearly, it was because of the myriad beast ancestor. This information was extremely important to them. Since that's the case, we'll just wait here. Hopefully, Longao is going to Dragon Valley. Otherwise, we'll miss the best opportunity. In truth, the 3 of them were betting that Longao would definitely go to Dragon Valley. Just like that, the 3 of them hid in the shadows, waiting for Longao to come. Chapter 1744. For 3 days, the 3 of them did not see Longao. Could it be that Longao had no plans to return to the Dragon Valley? Dragon Valley. Longao had already returned to the Dragon Valley. As for the 3 of them trying to kill him, how could he not know? While carrying the three-eyed golden ape, Longao had only kept 1/10 of its blood. The rest of the blood, essence, and soul had all been devoured by Aoshue. He had to admit that the three-eyed golden ape was truly powerful. On the 3rd day after Aoshue had devoured the three-eyed golden ape, it had already broken through to the Nirvana realm. He was overjoyed. Longao had never imagined that Aoshue would break through after devouring the three-eyed golden ape. Aoer, are we really going to send the three-eyed golden ape's corpse back to the Wanshou sect? Hearing his son's words, Long Yi's expression changed. Although the Dragon sect and the Wanshou sect were like fire and water, this was still a challenge to the Wanshou sect's bottom line. Long Yi was very worried. If he angered the Wanshou sect, wouldn't he be causing trouble for himself? How could Longao not know his father's fear? Father, I want to anger the Wanshou sect. However, don't send the three-eyed golden ape's corpse to them. Give it to the Long family. Long Yi seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he swallowed his words. He was very clear that his son knew what he was doing. Long Yi immediately left and sent people to take the three-eyed golden ape's corpse away. Their destination was not the Wanshou sect, but the Long family. Longao and Long Tian had formed an alliance, splitting the three-eyed golden ape equally to deal with the Wanshou sect's ancestor. It was unknown who spread the news, but in a few short hours, the entire Sky Martial continent had already spread. Everyone was very curious. They did not know what was going on. Why would Longao and Long Tian suddenly form an alliance? The Wanshou sect's ancestor, who had already returned to the Wanshou sect, was furious when he heard the news. It was definitely Longao's scheme. But even so, the Wanshou sect's ancestors still went to the Long family. The Wanshou sect, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Long family, and the Wanshou sect were all in conflict. Ancestor, this is the three-eyed golden ape's corpse. Why is it here? Long Hang was completely dumbfounded. He knew very well what a three-eyed golden ape meant. Was it to frame? Everyone. The three-eyed golden ape had already been taken away by Longao. Since that was the case, why would it appear in the Longsha clan? Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon looked at each other and saw something fishy in each other's eyes. Long Tian. Big brother, Longao is clearly trying to get us to fight with the Wan Shou sect. At that time, he can just sit back and reap the benefit. So that was the case. Long Hang had never thought that Longao would send the three-eyed golden ape's corpse over. Not only was the blood and essence of the three-eyed golden ape useful, even its corpse was useful. Right at this moment. Brother Shi, come and save me. They are trying to harm me. Seeing the Wan Shou sect's ancestor, everyone was dumbfounded. The three-eyed golden ape had just been a corpse. Why was it suddenly speaking? Could it be that the three-eyed golden ape was still alive? Long Tian, you are truly shameless. You even dare to touch my three-eyed golden ape. The Wan Shou sect's ancestor was furious. He did not believe what he had heard. Although he did not know why the three-eyed golden ape was in the Long family, the truth was the truth. Brother Three-Eyed, what is going on? There was no way to explain. Long Tian was extremely wronged. Before the three-eyed golden ape could say anything, Long Di Tian stood up and said, Senior Shi, please don't misunderstand. This is obviously Longao's plan. He wants to sow discord between us. He wants us to fight so that he can reap the benefit. Would the Wan Shou sect's ancestor believe it? If the three-eyed golden ape had fallen, even if it appeared in the Long family, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor would not believe it. He would think that it was Longao's scheme to sow discord. But what was the result? Brother Shi, perhaps Longao did not want our relationship to be too tense, so he let me go. Halfway through, Long Tian suddenly attacked. His intention is simple. He wants to devour me. Between the Long family and the three-eyed golden ape, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor would undoubtedly choose the three-eyed golden ape. Long Tian, you are courting death? The three-eyed golden ape hid to the side, while the Wan Shou sect's ancestor charged towards Long Tian. In the blink of an eye, the two sides were engaged in a fierce battle. He was depressed to the extreme. He clearly knew that this was Longao's strategy to sow discord, but he was still unable to defend himself. However, things had already reached this point. Long Tian knew that if he didn't fight, only death would await him. Fight. The battle between Long Tian and the Wan Shou sect's ancestor erupted. However, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor did not go too far. The battle between the two took place in the 9 heavens. This way, at least the Long family would not be destroyed. Brother Shi, listen to me. Speak your sister. The Wan Shou sect's ancestor did not give Longao any chance to speak. One move after another, it was as if they could topple mountains and overturn seas. Without Xing Kuan's rebirth, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor was known as the strongest under the starry sky. Long Tian had the help of the primordial divine dragon, while the Wan Shou sect's ancestor had the help of other nirvana divine beasts. Both sides were evenly matched, and it would not be easy to determine the winner. Long Tian was unlucky to have been schemed against by Longao. Many people knew about the battle between the two, except for Long Hua, who had just broken through to the heaven multiplying stage. He was considered a top genius, and had been in seclusion for 30 years. When he came out, he saw the Wan Shou sect's ancestor fighting with someone. Long Hua did not recognize the Wan Shou sect's ancestor. Just as he was about to turn and leave, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor suddenly appeared in front of him. Long Tian, how dare you devour the three-eyed golden ape? If I don't teach the Long family a lesson, you will really think that I am a pushover. The Wan Shou sect's ancestor did not kill Long Hua, but with his strength, it was easy for him to control Long Hua. Who are you? Long Hua was shocked. He could feel the terrifying strength of the other party. He did not even have the chance to fight back. To be able to fight the two patriarchs to a standstill One could only imagine the strength of this person. Ah! Without answering, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor destroyed Long Hua's dantian. In other words, from now on, Long Hua was just a cripple, worse than an ordinary person. This feeling of falling from the sky to the bottom made Long Hua want to die. You dare to hurt me, Long Hua, I will take your life. The Wan Shou sect's ancestor did not want to waste any more time. He immediately fled with the three-eyed golden ape. In the blink of an eye, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor and the three-eyed golden ape had disappeared without a trace. P.S. The 5th chapter has been delivered. Little 9 will try to hurry up with the next 5 chapters. Brothers with votes, please vote for Longao. Little 9, thanks. Chapter 1745. This matter isn't over. If the Long family doesn't give me an explanation, I will destroy the Long family in the future. The myriad beast's ancestor's figure had already disappeared, but his voice came from afar. A threat. A blatant threat. The myriad beast's ancestor's threat and crippling of Long Hua's cultivation showed that he didn't put the Long family in his eyes. He didn't chase. Long Tian's face was extremely gloomy. With Long Hua's talent, it wouldn't take long for him to reach the Nirvana stage, or even the Nirvana rebirth stage. Ancestor? Humph! With a heavy snort, Long Tian's voice was extremely cold as he said, "The myriad beast's ancestor, this old man, is simply courting death. Pass down my orders. From now on, attack the myriad beast sect." Although he knew that this was Long Ao's plan to sow discord, Long Di Tian knew that there was no turning back for the family. They could only fight. After leaving the Long family, the myriad beast's ancestor felt that something was amiss. Perhaps he was too anxious just now. The Long family didn't need to find trouble with him, especially under such circumstances. Three-eyed golden ape, what are you doing? Even so, the myriad beast's ancestor was still hit by the three-eyed golden ape. If he hadn't dodged in such a hurry, he believed that just this attack alone would have been enough to take his life. The myriad beast's ancestor was completely dumbfounded. He couldn't understand why the three-eyed golden ape would suddenly attack him. Could it be Long Ao? Idiot. The three-eyed golden ape didn't say anything else. This was because the three-eyed golden ape wasn't a real three-eyed golden ape, but a corpse slave, a Nirvana divine beast corpse slave. This move of Long Ao's to sow discord could be considered vicious to the extreme. Even if the myriad beast's ancestor found out now, he would have already made a huge mistake. Even if he was willing to stop, the Long family wouldn't. The three-eyed golden ape's strength wasn't a match for the myriad beast's ancestor. After 30 moves, the three-eyed golden ape was completely destroyed. Looking at the corpse on the ground, the myriad beast's ancestor didn't say anything. His eyes were extremely cold. Perhaps it was because he was too angry, but at this moment, the myriad beast's ancestor's body was trembling. What a good move to sow discord. The three-eyed golden ape had already been refined into a corpse slave. Long Ao had used the three-eyed golden ape to successfully drive a wedge between him and Long Tian. There was no need to return. The myriad beast's ancestor had already guessed the consequences. They would save as much as they could. No matter what, the three-eyed golden ape had already fallen. The most important thing now was to find a way to settle the Long family. Otherwise, when two tigers fought, one of them would definitely be injured. As for Long Ao, he couldn't wait for him to start a fight with Long Tian. At that time, he would be able to reap the benefit. Long family. Long Tian was furious to the extreme and had already sent his army to the Wan Shou sect. It could be said that a war was about to break out. Long Tian had already committed suicide. After all, his cultivation had been crippled, and he was even weaker than an ordinary person. It was easy to imagine what his life would be like in the future. Losing a Nirvana realm martial artist for no reason, how could he not be furious? Long Tian kept telling himself that he had already devoured the power of the origin, and that he would reach the star state as long as he had enough time. There was no need to ruin his plans in a moment of anger. In the end, Longao was still unable to swallow this anger. Because for a martial artist to walk in the sky martial continent, not only did he have to cultivate and break through, but he also had to take a breath. The Wan Shou sect ancestor didn't even put the Long family in his eyes. It was simply unbearable. The secret cave could be tolerated, but the chrysanthemum could not be tolerated. Before Long Tian could personally make a move, the Wan Shou sect ancestor, who had already left, suddenly returned for some unknown reason. "You old man, I will definitely make you pay twice the price." As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Long Tian really couldn't understand why the Wan Shou sect ancestor would return for no reason. Did he really think that he was easy to bully? He was extremely regretful in his heart. Just now, he had been too rash and made a big mistake. "Brother Long, don't be angry." Don't be angry? How could he not be angry? Without waiting for Long Tian to speak, the Wan Shou sect ancestor continued, "Brother Long, just now, I was halfway there when the three-eyed golden ape suddenly attacked me. If I'm not mistaken, the three-eyed golden ape has already been killed by Longao and refined into a corpse slave. He wants us to kill each other and then reap the benefit. If it weren't for the matter of Long Hua, this matter would have been over. After all, Long Tian didn't want to benefit Longao for nothing. But now." Sneering, Long Tian coldly said, "Your words are really nice to hear. You killed my Long Hua for nothing, and now you want to reconcile? Do you really think that we're easy to bully? Bad." Hearing Long Tian's words, the Wan Shou sect ancestor knew that this matter was bad. He cursed Long Ao's 18 generations of ancestors. This move to sow discord was simply too ruthless. It seemed that this battle was unavoidable. If it was any other time, the Wan Shou sect ancestor naturally wouldn't be afraid. At worst, they could just fight. He was confident that with the strength of the Wan Shou sect, defeating the Long family wouldn't be a problem. At worst, they would suffer a great loss of vitality and recover for a few decades. However, the situation now was different. This move was clearly what the Longao wanted to see. If he were to fight with the Long family, wouldn't that mean that he had fallen into the Longao's trap? The one who would be the happiest was still the Longao. "Brother Long, you should know that I'm not afraid of you, but I don't want to give others a chance. If we were to fight, the Longao would be the happiest. I can promise you that the person I just killed will let you raise a condition. How about it?" Long Tian also gradually calmed down. Just as the Myriad Beast ancestor had said, once the Long clan and the Myriad Beast sect went to war, it would not benefit him in the slightest. In the end, it would only benefit Longao, and the loss would not make up for it. "Seeing that you're sincere, I'll temporarily accept." Long Tian was delighted. "I only have 2 conditions. I lost a heavenly cycle reproduction cultivator, and your Wan Shou sect has to do everything you can to help the Long family create a nirvana cultivator within a year." "That's not a problem." The Wan Shou sect ancestor didn't even think about it and directly agreed. This was because for him, it was only a little troublesome, but not impossible. In order to temporarily appease the Long family, there was no need to refuse. Once he destroyed the Longao, the Wan Shou sect ancestor coldly snorted. At that time, would Long Tian still dare to act like this? It seemed that Long Tian had grasped this point of his. Otherwise, Long Tian definitely wouldn't dare to act like this. Smiling, Long Tian was very satisfied. He continued, "There's one more condition. You, Wan Shou sect ancestor, must publicly apologize to the Long family and admit that what happened before was your fault. How about it? P.S. The 6th chapter has been delivered. Little 9 has something to do and has to go out. The remaining 4 chapters will be updated tonight." Chapter 1746. Apologize? Or announce it publicly to the world. Originally, the myriad beast's old ancestor wanted to continue working with Long Tian to deal with the Longao first. But the result? Long Tian was obviously looking for trouble. Sneering, the myriad beast's old ancestor said coldly, "Long Tian, apologize? Don't even think about it. I can reject it right now. In that case, I won't send you off." An eviction order. With swords drawn and bows bent, the attitudes of the two were extremely cold. A great battle was about to break out. At this moment, Long Tian stood out and said gently, "Old ancestor, senior sure, this matter is clear. It's the Longao's scheme. We don't have to fall for it. Otherwise, we'll let the Longao get what he wants." So what if they knew? Things had already reached this stage. Were they going to back down? Under such circumstances, both the myriad beast's old ancestor and Long Tian would not back down. "Unless you apologize, there's nothing to talk about. So be it. I'm not afraid of you." He turned and left. The myriad beast's old ancestor could not care about anything else. At most, he would fall out with the Long family. "You want to leave?" Long Tian and the myriad beast's ancestors' figures suddenly disappeared. The two of them arrived in the void of the 9 heavens, where the clouds stretched as far as the eye could see. "It's either you die or I die. Just you." In the next moment, the two of them began to move, exchanging blows back and forth as they fought to their heart's content. Longao, who was far away in the Dragon Valley. Hearing the news, Longao was not surprised at all. This was because there was a 90% chance that he would succeed in sowing discord. As expected, with the 3 super forces working together, it was indeed difficult to do anything. If the 2 sides were to fight, it would be best if both sides suffered heavy losses. If that was the case, he could take advantage of the situation and reap the benefit. Just as you expected, the Long family and the Myriad Beasts sect have started a war. What should we do next? Long Yi was impressed by his son's foresight. He finally knew why his son wanted to send the 3-eyed golden ape's corpse back to the Long family and not the Myriad Beast sect. This move of sowing discord was indeed ruthless. Let's wait and see. If nothing unexpected happens, the Wanshou sect and the Long family will fight to the death. Fighting to the death was what Longao wanted to see the most. Long Yi chose to believe him. Where is the Martial Artists Alliance? Next, we'll focus on dealing with the Martial Artists Alliance. As for the Long family and the Wanshou sect, I'm sure they have their hands full. Even if we can't destroy the Martial Artists Alliance, we can't let the Martial Artists Alliance have a good time. Longao had already given the order. This time, he was not going to lead the team himself. Not only him, but the 3 elders would also not send a single person, because Longao's intention was very simple. He wanted to use the army of 500,000 corpse slaves to destroy the Martial Artists Alliance's foundation. As for the Nirvana-level warriors of the Martial Artists Alliance, he knew his own strength. Unless he used the power of the Absolute Heaven Soul Slave, he would not be able to fight against the Nirvana-level warriors of the Martial Artists Alliance with his current strength. The army of 500,000 corpse slaves was led by a Supreme Tao warrior, and they were going to attack the Martial Artists Alliance. Tong Zun, who had received the news, did not choose to face the Longao alone. The reason was simple. Even if the Martial Artists Alliance could destroy the Dragon sect in the end, it would be a draw. By then, others would definitely take advantage of the situation, and the consequences would be unimaginable. He immediately contacted the Wanshou sect and the Long family. They would live together, and they would die together. Tong Zun was confident that as long as he sent out an invitation, both the Wanshou sect and the Long family would definitely come to help him. After all, he had already helped the Long family when they faced the Longao. And the result? After Tong Zun sent out the invitation, Both the Wan Shou sect and the Long family chose to reject it. Both of them gave the same reason. They could not be bothered. Could not be bothered? Tong Zun was furious when he heard this reason. He thought to himself, Motherf Ker, when you were in trouble, I helped you without hesitation, but when I was in trouble, none of you came to help me. You've gone too far. What Tong Zun didn't expect was that the Long clan and the Wan Shou sect would suddenly start a war with each other. It was as if they had nothing better to do than to fight each other to the death. If it was before, it would not be a big deal for the two families to start a war. After all, the feud between the 10 families had never stopped. But now, it was a little unreasonable for the two families to start a war. Previously, the 3 families had made an agreement that as long as the Longao was alive, the 3 families would always be allies. If that was the case, why would the Long family and the Wan Shou sect start a war? Everyone knew about the feud between the Wan Shou sect and the Long family. Perhaps they did not want to spread the news, even Tong Zun did not know about it. He felt helpless. At this time, Tong Zun was not stupid enough to cause trouble for the two families. One Longao was enough for him to deal with. How should he deal with the 500,000 corpse slaves? As the leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tong Tiandi certainly hoped to avoid this disaster. The power of the 500,000 corpse slaves was too terrifying. Even if the Martial Artists Alliance could mobilize all the martial artists in the world, even if they won in the end, it would be a lose-lose situation. Among the 10 families, the Martial Artists Alliance was the only sect that could mobilize all the martial artists in the world. This was also the reason why the Martial Artists Alliance was called an alliance. In order to fight against the Longao, Tong Tiandi issued the alliance leader command. In just one day, the alliance had over 10 million martial artists. This was a terrifying number. Tong Zun and Tong Tiandi could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Even if the 10 million martial artists all died, they would not frown. In other words, the 10 million martial artists were just cannon fodder. If they could destroy the 500,000 corpse slaves, it would be too easy to deal with the Longao alone. 20 people against 1 corpse slave. No matter how powerful the corpse slave was, 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. The two did not believe that the 10 million martial artists could not deal with the 500,000 corpse slave. In the Martial Artists Alliance's headquarters, one day and one night passed in the blink of an eye. In the main hall, Sky Emperor, are you sure that the Longao will bring the 500,000 corpse slaves to attack us? If the Longao had already made up his mind, he would have come long ago. But now? Tong Tiandi was also puzzled. He nodded and said, Ancestor, according to the information we received, the Longao has indeed given the order to attack the Martial Artists Alliance. As for why he hasn't come yet, it might be because we have gathered over 10 million martial artists. Is the Longao afraid? I'm afraid that's the reason. It seems like Longao is not a fool. If the army of 500,000 corpse slaves is destroyed and he is the only one left, even we can easily deal with him, let alone tens of millions of martial artists joining forces. Author's note: I came back late. The 7th chapter is here. Xiao Jiu drank some water and immediately continued writing. If anyone has a vote, please vote for the Longao. Xiao Jiu thanks. Chapter 1747. Ancestor, why don't I go and get some information now? Remember, be precise. Yes. Tong Tiandi immediately stood up. His intuition told him that the reason why Longao didn't come wasn't because of the millions of warriors. He understood Longao's character too well. Would a person who dared to fight the Martial Artists Alliance for his lover be afraid of millions of warriors? Moreover, Longao had an army of 500,000 corpse slaves. It was more than enough to fight 1 against 20 with the strength of the corpse slaves and their immortal bodies. Thinking about the Wan Shou sect and the Long family, Could it be that Longao was up to something? What Tong Tiendi was most afraid of was that Longao had some tricks up his sleeve. It was easy to dodge an open attack, but hard to defend against a hidden arrow. This matter sounded extremely laughable, extremely laughable. A Longao and a newly risen dragon sect shouldn't be taken seriously by the 10 Direction Cauldrons. But what happened? Everyone said that they didn't care about Longao, but they were actually very afraid of Longao. When Longao made a move, the whole world was afraid. In the Dragon Valley, Luli had already rushed over from the Massacre Abyss. As for Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng, they stayed in the Massacre Abyss to guard Dragon Sect. Master, since we're not going to attack the Martial Artists Alliance, why do we have to do this? Luli couldn't understand why the Master had to do this. It's a diversion. So that's why. Luli didn't know who the Master was referring to. Could it be the Long family or the Wan Shou sect? As if he could guess Luli's doubts, Longao nodded with a smile and said, "You're right. My target this time isn't the Martial Artists Alliance, but the Long family." Master, I don't understand. Now that the Long family and the Wan Shou sect were at war, when both sides suffered, they could reap the benefit. If that was the case, why was the Master in such a hurry? Long family at this time, wouldn't they be helping the Wan Shou sect? He could not figure it out. He simply couldn't figure it out. According to the information we received, the Martial Artists Alliance has already gathered tens of millions of martial artists to wait for us. Although the Corpse Demon Army is powerful, if we fight against 20 of them, even if we win, it will be a Pyrrhic victory. Luli was very clear about this. No matter what, the Corpse Demon Army was not invincible. If every Corpse Demon Army was a Supreme Divine Tao Corpse Demon or a Rebirth Corpse Demon, then they could completely sweep through the world and be invincible. But now that might not be the case. As for the Wan Shou sect and the Long family, from an outsider's point of view, if the two sects go to war, both sides will suffer great losses, but I don't think so. Master, why is that? The reason is very simple. Both the Myriad Beast's ancestor and Long Tian knew their limits. The two of them would fight at most. Even if there were casualties, it would not harm their foundations. So that was the case. Now that he thought about it, that was indeed the case. At this time, if we attack the Long family, I believe the Wan Shou sect and the Martial Artists Alliance will not help us. Not only that, but the Wan Shou sect will also help us. As long as we can destroy the Long family and take the Dragon tribe, then we will have the upper hand and slowly turn around to deal with the Martial Artists Alliance and the Wan Shou sect. Master, you are so wise. This diversionary tactic was really powerful. Luli did not believe Longao before. After all, she did not see it with her own eyes, so no one dared to make any guarantees. But after these few counterattacks, and this time, Luli was convinced. Following such a powerful person, her future path would be even further. Elder Luli, I have always kept your matter in mind. In the next 2 days, I will help you and Elder Chief-elect to break through together. I hope you will not disappoint me. Ah! Not only Luli, but even the Chief-elect who had just arrived was shocked. Then, both of their faces were filled with surprise. Both Luli and Chief-elect did not doubt Longao's words. In their hearts, Longao was a mysterious person. Thank you, Master. Elder Chief-elect, the array of the Massacre Abyss is finished. Chief-elect was a divine-level array master. He might not be invincible, but he was the best array master in the world. That was why Longao kept him in the Massacre Abyss to set up the array. Master, don't worry. All the arrays have been set up. Even if the Martial Artists Alliance, the Wan Shou sect, and the Long family attack together, they will not be able to enter the Massacre Abyss. If they try to break through the array, I guarantee that they will not be able to come out. He was overjoyed. Regarding the Chief-elect's array formation standards, Longao did not have the slightest doubt. At this time, Longao took out a dark yellow booklet from his chest. On it was written the words Burning Sky Array Art. It was the secret array book that Fun Tian had taught him. He did not know before, but as his array skills continued to improve, Longao realized that the Burning Sky Array Art that his master had taught him was broad and profound. It was unfathomable. Master, is that the Burning Sky Array Art in your hands? Yes, you know the Burning Sky Array Art? Longao was very curious. He did not know why Chief-elect would know the Burning Sky Array Art in his hands. Greed was written all over his face. However, it was pure greed. Because Chief-elect had already submitted to Longao, it was impossible for him to snatch the secret manual. Longao was very confident about this. Master, the Burning Sky Array Art is a secret array book that every array master dreams of obtaining. It is said that the Burning Sky ancestor, the ancestor of the Wanzhan school, had this secret array book. Burning Sky ancestor? Could his master be the Burning Sky ancestor that Chief-elect mentioned? Longao could not figure out why Wanzhan school would choose to help him. He could not figure it out no matter how he thought about it. If his master was really the ancestor of Wanzhan school, then everything would make sense. Chief-elect, can you tell me more about the Burning Sky ancestor? No problem, master. Legend has it that the Burning Sky ancestor became famous 10,000 years ago. Not only is he powerful, but his array skills are also the best in the world. Even the Heavenly Tao said that if the Burning Sky ancestor could break through to the Starry Sky realm, then even a level 8 Starry Sky cultivator might not be able to resist the Burning Sky ancestor. Since ancient times, the Burning Sky ancestor has always been the best array master. No one can surpass him. I see. Was Ancestor Fun Tian really his master, Fun Tian? Longao wanted to know the answer because his intuition told him that the Burning Sky ancestor mentioned by Chief-elect, the ancestor of Wanzhan school, was most likely his master. Chief-elect, I originally wanted to teach you this secret array book, but I have to verify something. I will tell you later. Now I will leave for a while and return in about 3 days. Remember, long family matters should be handled according to my previous request. P.S. The 8th chapter has been delivered. Thank you for The Lonely Cloud of the Wind Knows, Nostalgia, I'm sick, ignore me, my body, because I love you so I care. 1234, The Seas Run Dry and the Rocks Crumble, Everlasting Love, King Kong, and T.S. Thank you for the support of the top 10 brothers on the fan list. Chapter 1748. Yes, Master. The Chief-elect was pleasantly surprised. The Master had made it clear that the Burning Skies formation was likely to be passed on to him. At the thought that he was about to receive the first formation manual, the Chief-elect trembled with excitement. Brother Chief-elect, don't you find this strange? What? Normally, the Chief-elect would have sensed that something was amiss. Perhaps it was because he was too excited about the Burning Skies formation and his state of mind was in chaos. He was very depressed. However, Lu Li's temper was very good. She smiled and said, according to my guess, if nothing unexpected happens, the relationship between our sect master and ancestor Fun Tian is not simple. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? Lu Li nodded. Chief-elect was enlightened. If not for their relationship, how could the master have ancestor Burning Skies formation's Burning Skies formation? Longao didn't inform anyone of his departure from the Dragon Valley because he would be back in 3 days at most. Wanzhan School was one of the 10 great sects. Among the 10 great sects, no one dared to provoke the Pill Guild and Wanzhan School. Whether it was pill refiners or formation masters, they were all above martial artists. Pill refiners aside, a powerful array master, such as a divine array master, could easily kill an enemy of a higher level than himself. Not to mention one-on-one, not to mention killing enemies above their level, even 1 versus 5 was a piece of cake for a powerful array master. Longao gazed at the huge mountain peak in front of him when he arrived at the Myriad Formation Peak. This was the legendary headquarters of Wanzhan School. "Welcome, junior brother. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you." Junior brother? Senior brother? Longao had already guessed who the person was when he saw the figure hurrying over from the Myriad Formation Peak. It was none other than the master of Wanzhan School, Lin Junhong. Not only was he a Nirvana reborn martial artist, but he was also a powerful god-level formation master. "Master Lin, what did you mean by that?" He smiled. Lin Junhong smiled and said, "Since junior brother has already guessed it, why do you still ask when you already know the answer? Could it be?" Exactly. Although he had already guessed it, Longao was still a little shocked. This was because he never expected that the master who taught him the Tao of formations back then was the ancestor of Wanzhan School, Ancestor Fun Tian. Everything felt like a dream. "Junior brother, master is waiting for you. Please lead the way, senior brother." Longao had already guessed that his master had not actually fallen. As for why his master had done that, it seemed that he could only ask the old man himself. "Junior brother, master has a very high opinion of you." Longao only smiled because at this moment, his mind was still in a mess. Not long after, the two of them arrived at the back of the mountain. Halfway up the mountain, there was a flat ground. An old man was sitting on top of the boulder. Seeing this old man, Longao quickly walked a few steps and came in front of Fun Tian. He bowed respectfully and said, "Disciple greets master." Fun Tian's face was full of news. He smiled and said, "Good, good, good. You really didn't disappoint me. You did well, really well." "Master, what's going on? From the beginning to the end, it was my test for you. As for the matter of the traitor, it was also false. Not only have you passed my test, you have also far exceeded my expectations." Longao did not say anything because he felt that he had been deceived. I know you must be very curious as to why I chose to test you. You and I don't know each other, nor do we have any friendship." Longao still did not say anything. The expression on his face had already told Fun Tian that he thought so. Longao did not blame Fun Tian because he could feel that the master in front of him did not have the slightest bit of malice towards him. Otherwise, he would not have taught him the first secret of formations, the Burning Heaven formation. It was just that Longao could not figure out why his master would do this. At that time, he was just a nobody. But his master was already the high and mighty ancestor of the Wanzhan School. The gap between the two was too big, like the gap between heaven and earth. Senior Longbatian. There was no need to say anything more. Longao already knew the reason for these simple words. He already knew that his ancestor was not a divine path martial artist at all, nor was he a supreme divine path martial artist. He was a genuine Starry Sky cultivator, and a level 9 Starry Sky cultivator. It seemed that it was the ancestor's arrangement. I believe you should know Senior Longbatian. I don't want to say anything else. Although your current situation is not very optimistic, I can't help you. Otherwise, I will not be able to explain it to Master Divine Mathematician. I know. This time, Longao came to verify this matter with his master. As for whether the Wanzhan School would help him or not, Longao had never thought about it from the beginning to the end. As the saying goes, it is better to rely on oneself than on others. Although I can't help you fully, I can send 10 array masters to you. They are all Imperial array masters. I believe they will be of great use to you. 10 Imperial array masters? Of course, it would be useful. Longao hurriedly thanked him. "Thank you, master. Come with me. I have something to talk to you about." Without caring about Lin Junhong, Fun Tian got up and left the back mountain with Longao. Looking at the gradually disappearing figure, Lin Junhong, who was smiling just now, suddenly became gloomy. 2 cold lights shot out from his eyes, and he said to himself, "Old fart, Fantion array art has never been taught to me, but he gave it to an outsider. Just you wait. I, Lin Junhong, will make you regret it one day. Just you wait." Lin Junhong let out a burst of sinister laughter. Then, Lin Junhong turned around and left, disappearing into the vast mountain peak. The huge space was boundless. There were colorful lights everywhere, weaving into beautiful scenery. This is a formation space? Longao was very puzzled, because he had just carefully sensed that the space he was in was indeed a formation space. There was no doubt that this formation space was set up by his master. Since that was the case, why couldn't he sense the level of the formation space? It was impossible. Even if it was a divine level formation, it would not be able to hide from him. There was only one possibility, but this possibility seemed to be a little unlikely. It was almost impossible for something to happen. Even if his master's array was heavenly, it was impossible to reach that level. This is the formation space that master just set up not long ago. It is above the divine level formation space. It is the strongest formation space that master has set up so far. Above the divine level formation space, could it be the legendary starry sky formation space? P.S. The 9th chapter has been delivered. The 10th chapter will be delivered later. Brothers who still have votes, please vote for Longao. Little 9 thanks. Chapter 1749. The Starry Sky Array can kill all martial artists under the starry sky. There was no doubt about it. Longao couldn't believe that his master had really set up the Starry Sky Array. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. No matter who he believed, he wouldn't choose to believe it, let alone him. According to my calculations, the Starry Sky Array I set up this time should be able to kill a level 3 Starry Sky cultivator. One word, awesome. Do you know how I set up the Starry Sky Array? He shook his head. For the rest of the time, Longao stayed in the Starry Sky Array and didn't come out. For 2 days and 2 nights. No one knew exactly what the two of them had said or done. "Master, I have something important to do. I'll go back to the Dragon Valley first." "Well, you have to be careful of someone." "Who?" Longao was very curious. He didn't know who his master wanted him to be careful of. Could it be the Oracle? Or Long Tian or Tong Zun? Or Wan Shou ancestor? Lin Junhong? Huh? Hearing that the ancestor wanted him to be careful of Lin Junhong, Longao was a little dumbfounded. Because everyone knew that Lin Junhong was not only the master of Wanzhan's school, but also his master's disciple. He was also his senior brother. He had thought that this senior brother was not bad. In that case, why did his master want him to be careful of Lin Junhong? Was there something fishy? Longao knew very well that his master wouldn't say this for no reason. There are some things that I can't say much about. After all, I don't have any concrete evidence, but you just have to listen to me. Half an hour later, Longao left Wanzhan School and returned to the Dragon Valley. On the way, Longao's mind was still a little confused. First, it was about his master, then the Starry Sky Array, and finally Lin Junhong. He couldn't accept it all at once. He shrugged helplessly. He didn't continue to dwell on this problem. Longao knew very well that the most important thing now was to find a way to deal with the Long family. Otherwise, if he missed this opportunity, it would be difficult to find another one in the future. Dragon Valley. Chief-elect, in the Burning Sky formation technique, other than the 3 formation techniques that I cannot teach you, you can learn the rest. However, you must guarantee that the Burning Sky formation technique will not be taught to anyone. He was overjoyed. The chief-elect was so excited that he immediately swore a blood oath. Longao didn't stop him. Longao had already told Burning Heaven's ancestor about the Burning Heaven's array art. Burning Heaven's ancestor had no objection, but he couldn't pass on the 3 arrays. After swearing the blood oath, the chief-elect slowly took the array formation manual from Longao's hands. His hands trembled. "Thank you, Master." Chief-elect was in such a rush that he immediately left, found a secluded place, and began to cultivate. To a chief-elect, array formations were everything. Luli was very helpless. He smiled and said, "Master, I've already followed your instructions. Out of the 500,000 corpse slaves, 400,000 corpse slaves have been sent to attack the Long family. The remaining 100,000 corpse slaves are on standby." Luli was very curious. He didn't know what the master meant. Why didn't he use all the corpse slaves to attack the Long family? Why did he only send out 400,000 corpse slaves? What was the use of the remaining 100,000 corpse slaves? Being able to guess what Luli was thinking, Longao didn't hide anything. He said, "The reason why I left behind 100,000 corpse slaves is to deal with the Phoenix race." Hearing the master's words, Luli was a bit surprised. How could he not know about the grudge between the master and the Phoenix race? However, even if he wanted to take revenge, he wasn't in a rush. Why did he choose to deal with the Phoenix race at this time? After thinking for a while, Luli said, "Master, forgive me for being blunt. With the current situation, why don't we deal with the Long family first? As for the Phoenix race, we can think about it in the long run. There's no need to rush." With regards to Luli's worries, how could Longao not know? Facing the Long family, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Phoenix race, and even the Wan Shou sect at the same time wasn't a wise decision. "Elder Luli, if we don't hold back the Phoenix race now, once the war starts, I believe that the Phoenix race will definitely take advantage of the situation to attack. Since that's the case, why don't we make the first move? As the saying goes, fake and real, real and fake. 100,000 corpse slaves are enough to deal with the Phoenix race. So that's how it is." Although Luli still didn't agree with this method, since the master had already decided, he didn't want to say anything more. This was because Luli knew that with the master's personality, he wouldn't act recklessly. The 500,000 corpse slaves were divided into 2 groups. One group attacked the Phoenix race, and the other group attacked the Long family. After the news spread out, the world was shocked. Could it be that Longao wanted to commit suicide? Long Tian and Long Di Tian never thought that the Longao would suddenly attack the Long family. According to Tong Zun's invitation, the Longao should be attacking the Martial Artists Alliance. Why did he suddenly attack them? What happened? If it was any other time, Long Tian wouldn't be afraid of the Longao. Even if the Longao had 500,000 corpse slaves, he still wouldn't be afraid. However, the current situation was a bit special. Fighting against the Wan Shou sect and the Longao at the same time was a bit difficult. If he had known this would happen, he would have taken a step back and continued to ally with the Wan Shou sect. Then, would the Longao still dare to be so arrogant? However, it was too late for regret. Long Tian didn't just sit there and wait for his death. Luckily, the Wan Shou sect's ancestor hadn't lost his mind and was prepared to die together. Otherwise, if the Dragon sect and the Wan Shou sect joined forces, the Long family wouldn't be able to resist at all. No matter what, the current dragon race was no longer the dragon race of the past. It would be very difficult for them to help the Long family fight against the 2 superpowers. Just like that, Long Tian went all out to deal with the 400,000 corpse slave. However, this was only the first wave. In less than a day, the Long family had already lost over 10,000 disciples. This kind of loss was something that Long Tian and Long Di Tian couldn't accept. If they continued to lose disciples at this rate, there would only be one result: the destruction of the family. They couldn't allow this to continue. In the end, Long Tian had no choice but to avoid fighting. Not only that, Long Tian tried everything he could to lure the corpse slaves into the dragon race. because of the suppression of the starry sky, not to mention 400,000 corpse slaves. Even an army of 4 million corpse slaves wouldn't be able to resist the starry sky's power. Would the corpse slaves fall for it? Of course not. This was what made Long Tian depressed. It wasn't just the Long family. The Phoenix race had also been attacked by the corpse slaves. Apart from Long Tian, the most depressed person was Lu Yi. She didn't know if the Longao had gone crazy. Why would he suddenly attack her? Could it be that he was so arrogant that he could fight against both the Long family and the Phoenix race by himself? P.S. All 10 chapters have been delivered. Little 9 is going to sleep. Good night, everyone. Chapter 1750. An army of 400,000 corpse slaves and an army of 100,000 corpse slaves were two completely different concepts. Even so, Lu Yi did not choose to fight head-on. Instead, she chose to shut herself in. Longao, who received the news, was not surprised at all. Instead, he calmed down a little. This was the effect he wanted. The army of 400,000 corpse slaves guarded the Long family tightly, but they did not take a step forward. Both sides were in a stalemate. As for the Thousand Beasts' ancestor, he did not interfere when he saw Longao attacking the Long family. Instead, he pulled himself out and prepared to watch the show. The Thousand Beasts' ancestor's intention was very simple. He wanted to watch the fight from the other side. Anger. Endless anger. Now that the Long family was trapped, the Thousand Beasts sect was prepared to watch the fight from the other side. This made Long Tian want to immediately start a war with the Thousand Beasts sect. However, due to the army of 400,000 corpse slaves, he could only be angry but could not do anything. Tian, contact Longao and tell him that I want to negotiate with him. Hearing the ancestor's words, Long Tian was shocked. Negotiate? If he took the initiative to negotiate, wouldn't he be telling the world that the Long family had admitted defeat? Where would their dignity go? Being forced into this state by a trash from a 9th-rank family, Long Tian felt like dying. He wanted to dig a hole in the ground and crawl into it. Ancestor. As if he had already guessed what Long Tian was thinking, Long Tian also sighed deeply and said, Tian, with our current situation, if we choose to fight head-on, there will only be one result, and that is that both sides will suffer heavy losses. Many people are watching, and I can guarantee that once we suffer heavy losses, the other sects will definitely not sit idly by. If they choose to take advantage of the situation, we will be in great trouble. Even so, there was no need to initiate negotiations. It was simply a great humiliation. There is only one thing we need to do now. First, stabilize Longao. Later, I will try my best to break through to the Starry Sky realm. Once my cultivation reaches the Starry Sky realm, a small Longao. He did not continue, but the coldness in Long Tian's eyes had already told Long Tian what he meant. At this point, what else could Long Tian say? Several hours later, after receiving the news, Longao said directly, Elder Luli, help me reply to Long Tian. Tell him that there's no room for negotiation. Let's fight first. It seemed that the Master and the Long family had a grudge against each other. Long family members had taken the initiative to make peace, but the Master was still not satisfied. As an elder of the sect, Luli knew what to ask and what not to ask. Without any hesitation, Luli immediately got her subordinates to spread the news. What? He punched the air. Perhaps Long Tian had used a little too much strength due to his anger, but the entire hall shook a little. Anger. Endless anger. Long Tian had never imagined that Longao would still refuse even after he had taken the initiative to ask for peace. Just what was Longao trying to do? They had gone too far. This was simply going too far. Old ancestor, this battle is unavoidable. Longao's attitude has already been made clear. If we keep backing down, It will only fuel Longao's arrogance. We're not as good as him. Before Long Di Tian could finish speaking, Long Tian had already waved his hand and said helplessly, "A little impatience will spoil great plans. We must stay calm. Otherwise, we will be tricked by Longao." Tricked? Where did this come from? Long Di Tian could not understand. He always felt that the old ancestor was a little timid. Longao also saw this point, which was why he dared to be so arrogant. Otherwise, even if Longao was given 10,000 guts, Longao would not dare to do this. Longao is obviously trying to anger us. Although I don't know what Longao is trying to do, it's better to be careful. He was helpless. However, since the old ancestor had already said so, even if Long Di Tian was unwilling, he could only accept it silently. Old ancestor, what should we do now? Fighting with silence, I also want to see what Longao will do next. 9 provinces continent. In the Dragon Valley. Master, what should we do now? After hearing Lu Li's report, Longao was not surprised at all. This was because he had already guessed that with Long Tian's personality, he would definitely not take the risk to attack. The best move was to stay still. It seemed that his guess was not wrong. Since Long Tian wants to stay still, we will fulfill his wish. Elder Lu Li, from now on, the 400,000 corpse slaves will attack the Long family with all their strength. It would be best if we can force the Long family into the Dragon Clan. Master, even if we can do it, the Dragon Clan has the power of the starry sky. As long as the Long family does not come out, we can't do anything. If this stalemate continues, not only will it not be good for the Long family, it won't be good for us either. Lu Li was very worried because a protracted battle would not benefit the Long family or the Dragon sect. The best way was to end the battle quickly. I understand what you're saying. Do as I say. As for forcing the Long family into the Dragon Clan, I have a way to deal with it. Understood. Elder Lu Li did not continue. She immediately turned and left to make arrangements. Long family. Longao also understood. A few years ago, he was still a piece of trash from a 9th-rank family in Scarlet Flame Town. In just a few short years, he had grown to the point where he could shake the Long family. The Long family had to be destroyed. This was the grand goal that Longao had set many years ago. He wanted the Dragon sect to replace the Long family. At that time, the Dragon sect would no longer be divided into rank. In the entire Martial Heaven continent, including the other continents, there would only be one Dragon sect. It was not just Longao. Even Long Tian and Long Di Tian would not have thought that a piece of trash, an ant-like existence in their eyes, would be able to shake their positions. It was hard to believe. The truth was right in front of them. Let alone Longao and Long Tian, even the others found it hard to believe. However, strictly speaking, in the eyes of outsiders, the battle between the Longao and Long Tian was still an internal battle. Even if Longao had established his own sect, in the eyes of outsiders, the Dragon sect and the Long family were still part of the same sect. Everyone was waiting to watch a good show. It would be best if both sides were heavily injured. That way, the other sects would be able to take advantage of the situation to divide the Dragon sect and the Long family. However, no one was optimistic about the Dragon sect. No matter what, the Long family's foundation was right there. One had developed for over 10,000 years, while the other had only developed for a few years. The two could not be compared. Now, they wanted to see how the Long family would deal with it. After all, the Myriad Beast sect was also eyeing them. If they had the chance, the Myriad Beast sect would definitely not let the Long family off. Chapter 1751. The army of 400,000 corpse demons pressed on. Long family, however, did not come out. Long family had become the laughingstock of Sky Martial Continent. They were forced by Longao to the point that they did not dare to come out. Cowardly turtle. In everyone's eyes, the Long family was obviously afraid of Longao. It was simply inconceivable. Even if Longao's talent and potential were strong, the dragon sect had just risen. How could it compare to the Long family? The two of them were on completely different levels. Discussions broke out. Long family. The master had personally ordered that no matter who it was, no one was allowed to leave without permission. Otherwise, they would be killed without mercy. Long Tian and Long Di Tian, including Long Hang, could endure it. But how could the ordinary disciples endure it? Without a doubt, it was impossible. The reason was simple. Long family disciples were usually high and mighty. Even when facing the other 10 sects, they had never been humiliated like this. It was a great humiliation. It was unbearable. Longao's actions completely disregarded the Long family. Even with the dragon sect's kill order, there were still people who rushed out. Even though they knew that they could not fight against the army of 400,000 corpse demons, there were still people who left. It was for the sake of face, for the sake of fighting for their dignity. If one came out, one would die. If 2 came out, 2 would be destroyed. In a short day, over 1,000 people from the Long family had died. What kind of concept was this? In the main hall. Master, we have already lost over 1,000 people, but there are still people leaving. If we continue at this speed, I believe that in less than 10 days, our family's luck will be greatly affected. Right now, not only the ordinary disciples, even some protectors are not listening to orders. Long Hang's face was gloomy, because even he wanted to go out and kill. Even if it was an army of 400,000 corpse demons, he did not care. I'll leave this matter to you. If anyone leaves the family again, you will be held accountable. He was a little depressed. Yes, master. After Long Hang left, Long Di Tian said helplessly, Old ancestor, this is not the way to go. We have to think of a way to resolve this matter. Otherwise, the people's hearts will collapse. When that time comes, there will be great trouble. Longao wants to force us into the Dragon Clan and destroy the family. Long Tian had already guessed Longao's thought. Because of this, Long Tian wouldn't do such a thing. Long family would become extremely passive from then on. How could Long Di Tian not know about this? Even if he knew, what could he do? Letting out a deep sigh, Long Di Tian felt a deep sense of helplessness. Such a thing had never happened in the past 10,000 years. Longao was an unexpected variable. Di Tian? Forefather. Looking at the disappointed Di Tian, Long Tian suddenly said, Do you know what the nemesis of corpse demons is? The power of lightning. Undoubtedly, no matter if it was corpse slaves or soul slaves, the bane of all of them was the power of lightning. However, among the 10 powers, only the Violet Thunder sect had the power to unleash the power of lightning. Everyone knew that the relationship between the Violet Thunder sect and the Dragon sect was extremely good. Wanting the Violet Thunder sect to help him was simply wishful thinking. Long Tian didn't know what the old ancestor meant by saying that. Di Tian, have you heard of a divine artifact, the Icefire Ninefold Cauldron? Icefire Ninefold Cauldron? Hearing the old ancestor mention the divine artifact, Long Di Tian was shocked. Nodding his head heavily, Long Di Tian said with yearning, Of course I have. According to the legends, the Icefire Ninefold Cauldron is known as the strongest divine artifact under the starry sky. It has 2 killing moves, the Icefire Ninefold Cauldron and the Icefire Ninefold Cauldron, which can kill all martial artists under the starry sky. However, the Icefire Ninefold Cauldron has always been a legend, and no one has ever seen it before. Just as he finished speaking, Long Di Tian seemed to have thought of something. His face was instantly shocked to the extreme. Long Di Tian said, Forefather, don't tell me that you have already obtained the Icefire Ninefold Cauldron? It was a little too shocking. It wasn't that Long Di Tian didn't believe it, but it was indeed a little unbelievable. The Icefire Ninefold Cauldron was known as the strongest divine artifact under the starry sky. Its power was terrifying. Long Tian was very curious. This was a legendary super-divine artifact that no one had ever seen before. Why did the old ancestor suddenly mention it? He must have already obtained it. Ha ha, Honored Tong and I have already obtained the origin energy. We can be considered as the people chosen by the divine mathematician. In order to show his approval, the divine mathematician gave us each an Icefire Ninefold Cauldron. F***ck. Even Long Tian couldn't help but curse in his heart when he heard the old ancestor's words. The two of them had already obtained the origin energy. If nothing unexpected happened, the two of them would definitely reach the starry sky realm. This was a great opportunity in itself. The divine mathematician also gave each of them an Icefire Ninefold Cauldron. It could be said that the two of them had the strongest divine artifact under the starry sky. It was more than enough for them to be in an invincible position. Obtaining the divine mathematician's approval was a precursor to walking to the peak. Long Tian wasn't jealous at all, because he knew very well that if the old ancestor could break through to the starry sky realm, it would be a great thing for him and the sect. It was completely expected that the day the old ancestor broke through to the starry sky realm would be the day the Long family and the martial artists' alliance would divide the world. Now, Long Tian only hoped for two things. The first thing was that the old ancestor could break through to the starry sky realm as soon as possible, so that the family could dominate the world. The second thing was that the old ancestor could use the super-divine artifact to deal with the 400,000 corpse demons outside and kill Longao. He wanted to fight for the family and tell the world that the Long family wasn't to be trifled with. Old ancestor. Long Tian waved his hand. Of course, he knew what Long Tian wanted to say. He sneered and said, "Since the divine mathematician has calculated me, there's no need for me to hide. Even if I can't expose the origin energy, there's no need to continue hiding the Icefire Ninefold Cauldron. I'll tell Longao about the 400,000 corpse demons when he regrets it." Long Tian seemed to be worried. He said, "Old ancestor, you just said that the nemesis of corpse demons is the power of lightning. According to what I know, the Icefire Ninefold Cauldron only has the power of ice and fire. It doesn't have the power of lightning. If it was the normal power of ice and fire, of course, it wouldn't be able to destroy the corpse demon army. However, the Icefire Ninefold Cauldron has the power of ice and fire. It can easily destroy the corpse demon army. Come with me." Long Tian's face was filled with joy. He knew very well that the old ancestor was truly angry. Otherwise, the old ancestor wouldn't have casually used the Icefire Ninefold Cauldron. Longao was doomed this time. In everyone's opinion, Longao's greatest trump card was Jianling's primordial spirit and the corpse demon army. P.S. 3 chapters will be released today. This is the second chapter. The third chapter will be released later. I have things to do today, and I have things to do tomorrow. However, Little Nine will be writing all night tonight. I'll write as much as I can. The update will start at 9 tomorrow. Little Nine will be on time. Tomorrow there will be 5 chapters. Chapter 1752. Jianling's primordial spirit. The original body might be feared, but now everyone wanted to find Jianling's primordial spirit. It was nothing to worry about. As for the corpse slave army, once Longao lost the help of the corpse slave army, could he continue to be so arrogant? The army of 400,000 corpse slaves stood guard outside the Longsher clan. Each of them was expressionless, like a group of zombies. Tian, after the corpse slave army is destroyed, you will immediately spread the news. Understood. Long Tian, of course, knew what the old ancestor meant. Since he had already used the Icefire 9-layered cauldron, the old ancestor would definitely not continue to endure. Even if the old ancestor's cultivation base had not broken through to the starry sky realm, with the old ancestor's strength, coupled with the Icefire 9-layered cauldron, he was definitely the number one under the starry sky. Even Xing Kuan was no match for the old ancestor. Cold eyes. A terrifying killing intent erupted from his body. Killing intent filled the air. Originally, he did not want to use the Icefire 9-layered cauldron so early, but Longao had gone too far, causing Long Tian to endure again and again. Unable to endure, there was no need to endure. At this moment, Long Tian took out a small black cauldron from his chest. The style was very strange, giving people a strange feeling. Burning to the 8 desolate. Without any hesitation, Long Tian used the power in his body to activate the Icefire 9-layered cauldron. Suddenly, a terrifying flame erupted from the Icefire 9-layered cauldron. Before the 400,000 corpse slave army could react, they were already enveloped by endless flames. Burning to the 8 desolates, burning everything. This was the power of flames. Ha 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 ha, the number one divine weapon under the starry sky, the Icefire 9-layered cauldron, has reappeared in the world. From now on, I want to see who dares to go against me, Long Tian, ha 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 ha, crazy laughter. The 400,000 corpse slave army, under normal circumstances, was indeed very powerful. No matter which of the 10 directions tripod it was, they would not dare to choose to fight force with force. What happened to the Long clan was an example. Long family was forced to not come out by the 400,000 corpse slave army. In just a few minutes, an entire 200,000 corpse slave army had fallen. What kind of concept was this? One could imagine how powerful the Icefire 9-layered cauldron in Long Tian's hands was. Ice sealing 10,000 miles. The power of the Icefire 9-layered cauldron changed rapidly. Just a moment ago, it was still boundless flames that could burn everything. Now, it exploded with the power of ice, freezing everything within 10,000 miles. Fire and ice, two extreme powers, water and fire were incompatible. 200,000 corpse slaves from the army of 400,000 had already fallen. He was annihilated. The remaining 200,000 corpse slaves were instantly frozen by the power of frost. Break. The word shatter. All of the corpses exploded. This was the terrifying power of ice sealing 10,000 miles. The Icefire 9-layered cauldron had 2 ultimate attacks, icebound 10,000 miles and incinerated 8 desolate. No matter which kind of power it was an extremely terrifying power. The originally powerful army of 400,000 corpse demons was destroyed by Long Tian in less than 3 minutes. Strictly speaking, they were destroyed by the Icefire 9-layered cauldron in Long Tian's hands. Although he already knew that the Icefire 9-layered cauldron was definitely very powerful, Long Tian was still dumbfounded when he saw the destruction just now. Was this the legendary Icefire 9-layered cauldron? What a terrifying Icefire 9-layered cauldron! Long Tian was almost certain that even if his cultivation had broken through to the Nirvana rebirth realm, he would not be able to withstand such destruction. It was too terrifying. No wonder the Icefire 9-layered cauldron was known as the number one divine artifact under the starry sky. Even an army of 400,000 corpse slaves couldn't withstand it for 3 minutes. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, it would have been hard to believe. Longao is truly a character. To be able to refine such a corpse slave army, it's hard to imagine. If Longao were to refine an even stronger corpse slave army, how would we deal with it? After saying this, Long Tian felt a little regretful. If it was in the past, he would definitely be extremely fearful of Longao. This was because with such an army of corpse slaves, not to mention him, he believed that anyone would have a headache. But now, the situation had completely reversed. Not to mention the current corpse slave army, even if Longao could continue to refine stronger corpse slaves, he believed that he wouldn't be able to withstand the Icefire 9-layered cauldron in the hands of the old ancestor. Long Tian smiled and said, "With the Icefire 9-layered cauldron in our hands, no matter who it is, we can ignore them." Tian, has the news spread? It has already spread. I believe that it won't be long before everyone in the world knows about this, including Longao. He was very satisfied. This was the effect of using the Icefire 9-layered cauldron this time. With the destruction of the 400,000 corpse slaves, he could intimidate the world and even the Wan Shou sect. If the Wan Shou sect still dared to ask for a beating, he would directly attack the Wan Shou sect. With the help of such a super divine tool, Long Tian was very confident that even the Wan Shou sect wouldn't be his match. However, unless it was absolutely necessary, he didn't want to make a move casually. The first to receive the news was Tong Zun. He was very shocked because he never thought that Long Tian would really use the Icefire 9-layered cauldron. It seemed that the 400,000 corpse slaves really scared Long Tian. Tong Zun wasn't afraid at all because he also had the Icefire 9-layered cauldron. Even if they were to fight, he wouldn't lose to Long Tian. Moreover, the two of them had a tacit understanding. They both had obtained the origin energy. Whether it was now or in the future when they reached the Starry Sky realm, they wouldn't interfere with each other. Wan Shou sect. The Wan Shou sect also received the news, but he wasn't as open-minded as Tong Zun. After all, he didn't have the Icefire 9-layered cauldron. He couldn't figure out why the legendary top divine tool under the stars, the Icefire 9-layered cauldron, was in Long Tian's hands. In terms of strength, Long Tian wasn't his match at all. But now, with the super divine tool in his hand, the Wan Shou sect no longer had any confidence. He was worried. He had the upper hand at first, but now he was at a disadvantage. If Long Tian chose to deal with him, wouldn't he be in trouble? He couldn't figure it out. Envy, jealousy, and hatred. The myriad beasts' ancestor was envious to the extreme. Helpless, the Wan Shou sect said slowly, "Long Tian, you win. But don't get carried away. You have the Icefire 9-layered cauldron. I will find a way to restrain you. One day, I will make the Long family surrender, and so will you. You will." From the beginning to the end, the Wan Shou sect didn't believe that Longao could destroy the Long family. After all, the gap between them was too big. They weren't on the same level at all. The Wan Shou sect had always wanted to destroy the Long family, or even the other sects, so that he could dominate the world and become the top of the Tianwu continent, or the top under the stars. However, it seemed that his wish was a bit difficult. After all, Xing Kun and Long Tian alone were difficult to deal with, especially Long Tian, who had the Icefire 9-layered cauldron. P.S. Xiao Jiu disconnected from the internet. He stayed up late to write and try to update 5 chapters tomorrow. As for tomorrow night, he will definitely continue to write after he comes back. As for how many chapters tomorrow, Xiao Jiu doesn't know. Anyway, the more the better. Chapter 1753. 9 Provinces Continent. Dragon Valley. What? The 400,000 corpse demon army was completely annihilated? Hearing Lu Li's report, Longao was shocked. His face was filled with disbelief. Longao was extremely clear about the power of the 400,000 corpse demon army. Even if Long Tian personally took action, it would be impossible for him to destroy the 400,000 corpse demon army. Elder Lu Li, what happened? The matter could be big or small. Lu Li did not dare to hesitate in the slightest. She immediately recounted the news she had received in full detail. What is the Icefire 9-layered cauldron? Longao gradually calmed down, because he was very clear that according to Lu Li, The reason why Long Tian was able to destroy the 400,000 corpse demon army in a short 3 minutes was because of this divine artifact. Ice Fire 9-layered cauldron. What the hell was this? He had never heard of it before. Master, you don't know, but there has always been a legend in the Sky Martial continent. Lu Li sighed, because he never thought that the legendary Ice Fire 9-layered cauldron would appear in the world, and it was even owned by Long Tian. Legend has it that the number 1 divine artifact under the starry sky, the Ice Fire 9-layered cauldron, possesses 2 extreme powers, the power of fire and the power of ice. Legends have always been legends, and no one has ever seen it before. There was no need to say more, Longao already knew. To be able to wipe out the entire corpse demon army in a short 3 minutes, this in itself already showed how powerful this so-called number 1 divine artifact under the starry sky was. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. Master, since Long Tian has the Ice Fire 9-layered cauldron, it's not suitable for us to fight head-on. Nodding, Longao expressed his agreement. At this moment, we want to retreat, but I'm afraid some people can't. You stay here, I'll be back soon. With a stride, Longao's figure disappeared. About 1,000 meters away from the Dragon Valley. In the 9 heavens, thousands of miles of clouds. Longao, your 400,000 corpse demon army has been completely annihilated by me. If you have any other moves, feel free to use them. Today, I want to see what other killing moves you have. Contempt. It was an instant kill. Ever since the Icefire 9-layered cauldron was exposed, Long Tian had clearly become arrogant, as if he was the number 1 expert in the world and deserved a beating. Long Tian had the right to be arrogant. Just the Icefire 9-fold cauldron in his hands was enough to make him invincible. With a calm expression, Longao said indifferently, Long Tian, the grudge between us will be resolved sooner or later. However, now is not the time. Are you scared? I'm not afraid. You and your Long family have been developing for tens of thousands of years, but I and the Dragon sect have only been developing for a few years. I don't believe that I can shake you now. Long Tian didn't say anything, but his face was filled with pride. 10,000 years ago, during the era of the strong contending for hegemony, he had forcefully fought for a piece of land that belonged to him. Not to mention others, even he himself admired himself very much. In fact, Long Tian was a very narcissistic person. Long Tian, if you want to fight, I will fulfill your wish very soon. If it was someone else, Long Tian could wait for 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years, not to mention a short time, because he didn't care about others at all. Except for Longao. Longao was a variable that even he couldn't control. If he hadn't witnessed Longao's growth with his own eyes, even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't believe that someone could have such achievements in just a few years. Longao's situation was very special. Longao didn't dare to wait, because he didn't know how far Longao would grow if he continued to wait. Thinking of this, Longao, my request is very simple. As long as you can withstand my Icefire 9-fold cauldron, then within a year, I won't come looking for you again. How about it? You're really shameless. Although he was very confident in his own strength, Longao still had self-awareness. With Long Tian's ******, even if it was an army of 400,000 corpse slaves, he could take care of it in just 3 minutes. From this, one could imagine how terrifying the other party's super-divine tool was. He simply couldn't contend against the Icefire 9-fold cauldron. Are you afraid? It was this sentence again. How could Longao not know that this was Long Tian's provocation, in order to trick him? Long Tian's meaning was already very clear. If you don't remove the roots, it will grow again when the spring breeze blows, letting the tiger return to the mountain, eliminating all future troubles. We'll meet again. Reason suppressed the impulse. He clearly knew that he wasn't Long Tian's opponent, so why would he still want to meet force with force? Not to mention the Icefire Ninefold Cauldron, just Long Tian's strength was not something he could contend against. As the saying goes, it's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Longao was very confident in his own talent. Even if he wasn't Long Tian's opponent now, what about in the future? Want to leave? This time, Long Tian had clearly come prepared. He directly used his divine tool to interfere with the surrounding spatial fluctuations. As expected, Longao couldn't enter the dragon seal space, but he could use spatial teleportation. Longao used spatial teleportation and disappeared in a few teleportations. However, Long Tian had come prepared. How could he let Longao leave so easily? Longao's variables were too great. This time, no matter what happened, he had to deal with Longao. Long Tian's speed was also very fast. Although he still couldn't catch up to Longao, it didn't matter. Long Tian had never thought of relying on speed to kill Longao. Icefire Ninefold Cauldron. Icebound 10,000 miles. Long Tian's icebound 10,000 miles might not be able to reach 10,000 miles, but based on the distance between the two of them, it was more than enough to freeze Longao. Longao, who was preparing to return to the Dragon Valley, suddenly felt his body being frozen. It was as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. Was this the two extreme powers of the Icefire Nine-Layered Cauldron? Was this the so-called icebound 10,000 miles? What a terrifying power! Longao finally understood why Long Tian could rely on this divine tool to kill his army of 400,000 corpse demons. Such a super divine tool was too powerful. Longao was very clear in his heart that he had to break the icebound 10,000 miles as soon as possible, because once the icebound 10,000 miles was broken, his body would also break. At that time, he would die without a doubt. Longao could almost say that no matter who it was, they wouldn't be able to withstand this killing move. Even the army of 400,000 corpse demons wouldn't be able to withstand it. What should he do? At this critical moment, Longao quickly used all his strength, hoping to break the icebound 10,000 miles. Otherwise, he would only be killed by the power of ice. Ha ha ha, Longao, even if your strength is heavenly, you won't be able to break my icebound 10,000 miles. I'll let you experience the true power of the Icefire Nine-Layered Cauldron. As if he couldn't wait any longer, Long Tian impatiently shouted, "Break!" Chapter 1754. Long Tian didn't even use burning to desolation, because in his opinion, merely the ice sealing 10,000 miles was enough to obliterate Longao. The confined space was shattered. According to Long Tian's estimation, Longao had probably turned into ashes and disappeared from this world forever. Longao, you still died in my hands in the end. Ha 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 ha. Thinking that he had killed Longao in the end, Long Tian suddenly laughed maniacally. Eliminating all future troubles. Becoming famous in the world. Longao, who no one could kill, was killed by him. Ice Seal is just SOSO. Just as Long Tian was laughing maniacally, he suddenly heard a voice in front of him. He was stunned. Longao didn't die? Impossible, this was absolutely impossible. How could Longao possibly survive under the ice sealing 10,000 miles? It was almost impossible. Was it an illusion? Not to mention Long Tian, no matter who it was, they wouldn't believe that there was a martial artist who could survive under ice seal. Seems like Longao has become my inner demon. Fortunately, I've settled it. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble. Just as Long Tian thought that he was hallucinating, Longao's voice came again. Long Tian, your ice seal didn't succeed in killing me. If I were you, I would go home and buy 2 pounds of tofu to slowly kill myself. You were so confident that you could be invincible with the help of Ice Fire Ninth Layer Cauldron. You are really arrogant. Illusion? The first time was an illusion. Was the second time also an illusion? In an instant. It was definitely not an illusion. Long Tian looked left and right, but he couldn't find Long Ao's trace. Where was he? Long Ao, if you are still a man, show yourself and fight. Why are you sneaking around? You are simply a coward. Before Long Tian could finish speaking, a ray of reincarnation sword chi shot towards him. Fortunately, Long Tian dodged in time. Otherwise, this sword alone was enough to take his life. He was furious. Long Tian had never thought that Long Tian could survive under his ice seal. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, it would have been hard to believe. Was this for real? Even now, Long Tian still couldn't believe it. Coward? Long Tian, I will definitely find you in the future. I hope that you will not be a coward then. Long Tian sighed deeply. Long Tian knew that Long Ao had already left. As for attacking Long Tian's Dragon Valley, he knew that even if he had the Ice-Fire 9th Layer Cauldron, he wouldn't be able to break through Dragon Valley's defense. Within the Dragon Seal space, Long Ao's face was pale and he looked very weak. Big brother Long Tian, are you alright? Bai Ling asked with a concerned look on her face. If it weren't for the Dragon Valley, Bai Ling would have most likely already transferred her power to him. Tian Tian Tian, Tian Tians, Tian Tian, to Tians Tians. I'm fine. As expected of the number 1 divine artifact under the starry skies. If it weren't for Long Fu's help, I'm afraid I would have to reincarnate again. Bai Ling's eyes gradually turned red. She could clearly sense that Tian's condition was very bad. If it weren't for Long Fu's timely intervention, something would have happened to Tian. She was worried, extremely worried. Gently holding Bai Ling's hand, Long Ao said, I'm fine. Seemingly not wanting to dwell on this issue, Long Ao came to Long Fu and said, Long Fu, you've seen the power of Long Tian's Ice-Fire 9th Layer Cauldron. Do you have any way to deal with it? After personally experiencing the power of the Ice-Fire 9th Layer Cauldron, Long Ao couldn't help but sigh. It was indeed the number 1 divine artifact under the starry sky. He was no match for the Ice-Fire 9th Layer Cauldron at all. Master, I was just lucky. The Ice-Fire 9th Layer Cauldron is very powerful. Unless you're a starry sky expert, you won't be able to block it. Long Ao was a bit depressed. He didn't know how such a legendary divine artifact had appeared in Long Tian's hands. Since that was the case, why didn't Long Tian dominate the Martial Heaven continent? After all, with Long Tian's power and the number 1 divine artifact under the starry sky, he was an undefeatable existence. Unless the Patriarch, the godly mathematician, or the heavenly Daos personally descended. They returned to the Dragon Valley. Liuli, I believe you already know about the Ice-Fire 9th Layer Cauldron. I've already seen it. Its power is too terrifying. No one under the starry sky is a match for it. Do you have any way to deal with Long Tian? Although Liuli was just the master of a third-rate sect, Long Ao valued him greatly. Otherwise, he wouldn't have kept Liuli by his side. He wouldn't have told Yunluotian and Yunfeng to hold back in the massacre abyss. How could Liuli not know what the master meant? Liuli was shocked. He had never imagined that the master had left just to fight with Long Tian. Furthermore, he had successfully returned from the Ice-Fire 9th Layer Cauldron. He was very clear about the master's power. Although his trump cards were very powerful, he was still a Unity of Heaven expert. Just how had the master done it? Liuli couldn't figure it out, but he didn't dwell on it. The fact that the master had been able to block the Ice-Fire 9th Layer Cauldron was a good thing. However, Liuli also knew that the master had definitely suffered a great loss. Otherwise, the master wouldn't have acted like this. Thinking about it, Liuli helplessly said, Master, the legends say that the Ice-Fire 9th Layer Cauldron is the number 1 divine item under the starry sky. Legends are just legends in the end. No one has ever seen the true Ice-Fire 9th Layer Cauldron, so there's no way to deal with it. Longao wasn't the slightest bit surprised. He had already guessed it. Long Tian possessed such a supreme divine item. It was hard to imagine that other than the God Diviner, the Heavenly Daos, and the Patriarch, there was no one else on the martial heaven continent who could be a match for Long Tian. It would be unrealistic to say that he didn't feel pained after losing 400,000 corpse demons. However, Longao wasn't too depressed. He had already reached this point, so he could only continue forward. If he turned back or stayed where he was, there would only be one result waiting for him: his own destruction. Making a prompt decision, Longao recalled the 100,000 corpse demon army that was guarding outside the Phoenix Peak. This was because the current dragon sect, including the Dragon Valley, did not have more than 300,000 corpse demon army. It seemed a little difficult to rely on the 300,000 corpse demon army to achieve anything. Not to mention the others, just Long Tian and the Icefire 9-layered cauldron in Long Tian's hand, not to mention the 300,000 corpse demon army. Even 3 million corpse demon army would not be enough. He had to refine a new corpse demon army. Not only that, but Longao was also very clear that in the current situation, no matter how many ordinary corpse demons he refined, they wouldn't be of much use. If he had to refine one, he had to refine one. After thinking about it, Longao finally chose to refine a corpse slave above the Divine Tao level. In other words, the Divine Tao level was the foundation for this refinement, and the Supreme Divine Tao level was the basic requirement. The Nirvana Realm Corpse Slave was the most ideal refinement. He wasn't greedy. If he could refine an army of 1 million corpse demons, as long as there were 1,000 Nirvana Realm Corpse Demons, 500,000 Supreme Divine Tao Corpse Demons, and 500,000 Divine Tao Corpse Demons, he would be able to move unhindered in the world. However, he had to avoid Long Tian. Strictly speaking, he had to avoid the Ice-Fire 9th-layer cauldron in Long Tian's hand. Long Fu, what I said just now, how confident are you? When can you refine it for me as soon as possible? Master, your request isn't too difficult. However, if you want to refine a corpse demon army, the first thing you have to do is find a suitable corpse and divine soul. Where does Master want to find a corpse demon army of 1 million? Long Fu's meaning was very simple. There wasn't any problem with the refinement. The only problem was the supply. No matter what, an army of 1 million corpse demons wasn't a small matter. Even the weakest corpse demon couldn't be weaker than a Divine Tao corpse demon. Longao naturally knew that the biggest problem was the supply. If there was a supply, not to mention an army of 1 million corpse demons, even an army of 10 million corpse demons wouldn't be a problem. Since Long Fu didn't have the slightest problem, then there was only one thing he had to consider: the supply. Killing martial artists and refining corpse demons wasn't too realistic. Longao wasn't willing to do this. Not to mention other things, just his own heart couldn't get over it. He wasn't a homicidal maniac. He would kill his enemies, but not others. This was Longao's bottom line. Therefore, all along, the corpse demons that Longao had refined, even including soul demons, were rarely human aside from his enemies. Most of them were spirit beasts. Although there wasn't much difference between spirit beasts and humans, if he had to choose between the two, he wouldn't hesitate to refine spirit beasts and not human martial artists. This was also his bottom line, a bottom line that couldn't be touched. Where could he find a supply? Could he go to the Spirit Beast Forest or the Spirit Beast Mountain Range? Master, are you going to continue refining corpse demons? Yes. He didn't hide anything. As for how Luli knew about this, the reason was simple. This time, they had lost an army of 400,000 corpse demons. It was a heavy loss. Luli was completely sure that the master would continue refining corpse demons. Although the dragon sect was already one of the top 10 forces, Its foundation was the weakest among all the super forces. The dragon sect relied entirely on the corpse demon army. In the current situation, they could only refine a new corpse demon army as fast as possible. Master, I previously discovered that 90% of the corpse demon army you refined were spirit beasts. I know what Master is thinking. I'm just saying that many martial artists are evil people. Even if they aren't now, they were in the past. Towards these people, Master, why should you be soft-hearted? Aside from refining them into corpse demons to help you, we can also be considered as getting rid of a scourge for the world. Continue. Longao really wanted to continue listening because he felt that what Luli said was very reasonable. After all, martial artists and spirit beasts were similar. In fact, spirit beasts were more innocent. Some people, or rather many people, were very shameless. They were wolves in sheep's clothing and specialized in doing bad things. Master, my meaning is very simple. Comparing martial artists and spirit beasts, martial artists like them shouldn't be living in this world. Longao completely understood. However, he still said helplessly, Elder Luli, even if I understand what you mean, I can't do this. Chapter 1755. Master, why are you doing this? Luli couldn't figure it out. In his opinion, this kind of scum should die early and reincarnate early. Let's not talk about whether or not we can kill these people. Just where to find them is the biggest problem. Killing hundreds or thousands of them was practically useless to him right now. Where would he find 1,000,000 cultivators? Luli's expression was grave. He was very clear that millions of cultivators, especially powerful divine path and peerless divine path cultivators, were not easy to find. If he could kill anyone he saw, it would be very simple. However, the master definitely wouldn't agree. There was no doubt about it. Master, why don't we choose the outer sea? The outer sea? Longao didn't continue asking. He couldn't wait to leave the Dragon Valley and comprehend the outer sea as quickly as possible. The Tianwu continent was divided into 5 major continents. The Eastern Continent, the Western Region Continent, the Southern Sea Continent, the Northern Plains Continent, and the Central Tianwu Continent. The Southern Sea Continent was the so-called Outer Sea. The Outer Sea was boundless. It was said that no one could cross the entire Outer Sea, not even Nirvana realm cultivators. Not only that, but the Outer Sea's divine beasts were incomparably powerful. No one knew how many divine beasts there were in the Outer Sea. Longao, I really don't understand. Why did you choose the Outer Sea and not the continent? Xiling was very puzzled. When it came to divine beasts, even if there weren't as many on the land as in the Outer Sea, there were still more than enough to spare. Not to mention millions of divine beasts, even tens of millions of divine beasts would be a piece of cake. As for killing them, with Longao's current strength, killing divine beasts or even peerless divine beasts would be a piece of cake. As for the divine beasts of the sea and the divine beasts of the land, it was very simple. Once the divine beasts of the sea entered the land, their strength would be greatly reduced. As for the divine beasts of the land, once they entered the sea, it would be the same. However, for Longao, whether it was the divine beasts of the sea or the divine beasts of the land, it was all the same. It's very simple. I want to use the corpse slaves refined from the outer sea divine beasts to set up a super formation. Super formation? Xiling grew more and more curious. He didn't know what kind of formation it was that it would require millions of corpse slaves. Not only that, but millions of corpse slaves from the outer sea. As if he could guess what Xiling was thinking, Longao continued, My formation requires the outer sea divine beasts. I hope this formation will be able to deal with Long Tian. This was why Longao couldn't wait to get his hands on millions of corpse slaves and set up a super formation. He hoped to use the power of the super formation to deal with Long Tion's Icefire 9-layered cauldron. The formation Longao wanted to set up this time was called the 9 Heavens 10 Earths killing formation. It was a 9 Heavens 10 Earths killing formation that had been improved by himself. Not only that, but Longao also used millions of corpse slaves from the outer sea divine beasts as the formation core. This way, the power of the 9 Heavens 10 Earths killing formation would increase tenfold. Even so, it still wasn't enough. Longao was ready to ask his master for help. Both master and disciple, as well as chief-elect, hoped to increase the power of the 9 Heavens 10 Earths killing formation. Even if it couldn't reach the Starry Sky formation realm, it should at least be above the God-level formation realm. In other words, it should be above the God-level formation realm and be below the Starry Sky formation realm. The overlord of the outer sea was the so-called mythical island. As for the other 3 islands outside of the mythical island, they were the Nirvana Island, Illusion Island, and Heavenly Demon Island. After so many years, the strength of these 3 islands was comparable to the mythical island. If they weren't afraid of the mythical island, they would have already taken action. Longao's previous matter had angered everyone. After all, the news that Longao was still alive had spread. "Brother Long, why did you come to the outer sea?" Madman Yi was very surprised because he never thought that Longao would suddenly come to the outer sea. The previous matter hadn't been resolved yet. What happened to Longao? Longao didn't hide anything because the outer sea was too big and there were too many forbidden areas. He didn't want to cause any trouble, so he asked his friend, Madman Yi, for help. It could be said that the two didn't know each other until they fought. "Brother Yi, the purpose of my visit this time is very simple. I want millions of divine beasts from the outer sea. It would be great if I could find a supreme divine beast or a nirvana divine beast. I don't know much about the outer sea, so I hope you can help me." Everyone was shocked. Even if they weren't afraid of divine beasts below the nirvana realm, they still couldn't help but be surprised when they heard that Longao wanted millions of divine beasts. However, Madman Yi didn't ask anything because he was very clear about what should be asked and what shouldn't be asked between friends. If Longao was willing to tell him, then even if he didn't ask, he believed that Longao would tell him. If Longao didn't want to tell him, then even if he asked, Longao might not tell him. "Brother Long, I understand. There are many forbidden areas in the outer sea. Even I, and even the old ancestor, don't know all of them. However, I know many places where you can hunt many divine beasts. Moreover, there aren't any powerful nirvana divine beasts guarding them. It's very suitable for your situation. Anyway, I don't have anything to do, so I just happened to bump into you. But after this matter is over, you must treat me to a drink." "No problem." Longao didn't say thank you because he was very clear that if one day Madman Yi came to find him for something, he would also do the same and wouldn't ask why. This was what friends were like. Madman Yi was worthy of being called a wily old fox in the outer sea. Wherever he brought Longao, there were strange divine beasts everywhere. As for ordinary divine beasts, Longao had no use for them. Not only that, there were also a lot of supreme divine beasts. As for Nirvana realm divine beasts, they were very rare. Even so, Longao was very pleasantly surprised. Without the slightest hesitation, the two of them started a massacre. Both of them were Nirvana realm martial artists, so killing divine beasts or supreme divine beasts was more than enough for them. Even with the strength of Longao and Madman Yi, it took them 3 days and 3 nights to kill millions of divine beasts or supreme divine beasts. The rest of the matter was left to Long Fu. According to Long Fu, it would take at least half a month to refine 1,000,000 corpse slave, 990,000 divine beasts, 10,000 supreme divine beasts, and less than 20 Nirvana realm divine beasts. After half a month, as long as the corpse slave army was refined, they would be able to arrange the 9 heavens and 10 earths killing formation. Even Longao was looking forward to the power of the 9 heavens and 10 earths killing formation. He wanted to see whether Long Tion's Icefire 9-layered cauldron or his 9 heavens and 10 earths killing formation was more powerful. Until the last moment, even Longao didn't have the slightest confidence that he could win. "Brother Long, are you leaving the outer endless sea?" "Yes, there are still many things on the continent. After I'm done, I will definitely come back and drink with you." Longao also found that he and Madman Yi got along very well. They weren't just friends, they were like brothers. Although the two of them didn't say it out loud, they were very clear in their hearts. "Brother Long, if you can wait a few more days, I want to take you to a place." "Where?" Longao was very curious because he knew very well in his heart that if it wasn't an urgent matter, Lunatic Yi would definitely not speak. It was precisely because of this that he became even more curious. He really wanted to hear where Lunatic Yi wanted to bring him to. "Brother Dragon, I've already said that the outer sea is boundless. There are many forbidden areas. I know some of them, but I don't know about some of them. Among all the forbidden areas that I know, there's one that I want to explore. However, it's very difficult for me to enter this space with my strength alone. I hope you can lend me a hand. As for whether Brother Dragon is willing to enter this space, it's up to you. Let's go." So that's how it is. Such a simple matter, Longao naturally wouldn't refuse. The two of them immediately got up. With the water avoidance beads on their bodies, even if they entered the sea, the surrounding water wouldn't be able to touch them. The two of them moved very quickly. There were corals everywhere. If Madman Yi hadn't brought him here, Longao knew that he wouldn't have been able to find this place. He asked, "Brother Yi, what is this place?" "Apart from me, no one should know about this forbidden area. I accidentally obtained a sheepskin. The specific location of this place is drawn on it. According to the sheepskin, there is a Starry Sky divine tool left behind by a Starry Sky martial artist in this space. Brother Long, I believe you should know about Starry Sky divine tool." Longao nodded in surprise. Of course, he knew what a Starry Sky divine tool meant. It could be said that if he could have a Starry Sky divine tool, it would be more than enough to kill a Starry Sky martial artist. "Brother Yi, in that case, I will help you enter this space. If we find a Starry Sky divine tool, the first Starry Sky divine tool will belong to you, the second Starry Sky divine tool will belong to me, and so on. How about it?" "No." Without waiting for Longao to speak, Madman Yi continued, "Brother Long, if we are lucky enough to find a Starry Sky divine tool, the first Starry Sky divine tool will belong to you, the second Starry Sky divine tool will belong to me, and so on." Longao just smiled and didn't argue, because he had decided that no matter what kind of Starry Sky divine tool they found, the first Starry Sky divine tool must belong to Madman Yi. In any case, he already had the Samsara sword. If he was lucky enough to find the second Starry Sky divine tool, then he wouldn't be polite. "Brother Yi, what should we do?" No matter whether there was a Starry Sky divine tool in this space or not, the first thing to do was to open the space passage. Otherwise, everything would be nonsense. "Brother Long, according to the sheepskin, there is only one way to open the space. That is, 2 Nirvana Realm martial artists must join forces to attack a point. Chapter 1756. Madman Yi pointed to a point inside the coral. It was very secretive. Without the slightest hesitation, the two used all their strength to jointly attack this point. Sure enough, after being attacked, the point instantly turned into light, and before the two could react, they had been enveloped by the light and disappeared in place. The next second, Longao and Madman Yi had entered a huge forest, blue sky and white clouds, as if they had returned to the Tianwu continent. Brother Yi, you have to be careful, this place is very strange. Since entering the space, Longao had been on full alert. No matter what, there was nothing wrong with being careful. As the saying goes, caution is the parent of safety. Nodding, Madman Yi also felt that this place was very strange, and even full of murderous intent. The two did not stay in place, but moved forward slowly step by step. Every step they took, the two were very careful. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, wait. Brother Long, what's wrong? Madman Yi looked curious, not knowing what had happened. Longao's face was very dignified, suddenly turned around, looked at the air in front of him, and said, "Since you are here, why don't you show yourself? Being so sneaky, I'm afraid you are not a hero." Someone? Of course, Madman Yi would not doubt Longao's perception, but he was extremely shocked. "I'm not a hero. Your perception is really not bad. A mere Nirvana realm martial artist is actually able to sense my presence. Not bad." This tone was very strange. Could the other party be? The two seemed to have guessed something. You look at me, I look at you, and see a trace of shock in each other's eyes. If the other party was really a starry sky martial artist, then this matter was very troublesome. Madman Yi was depressed to the extreme. He thought that there were only starry sky divine tools in this space, but he never thought that there would be a starry sky martial artist in this space. Looking at the air in front of them slowly converging into a figure, whether it was Longao or Madman Yi, both of them took 3 steps back. A starry sky martial artist. It was really a starry sky martial artist. In front of the two, the figure formed from the air was a young woman. She had big eyes, a high nose bridge, thick lips, and a tall figure. She was a typical beauty. The flirtatious young lady covered her mouth and chuckled when she saw the two of them retreating. "Mississippi, my name is Fong Ye, not Mississippi, Miss Fong Ye. I've already said that I'm not called Mississippi. I'm called Fong Ye." Fong Ye was obviously a little angry, which made the two of them very gloomy. "Fong Ye, we accidentally entered this place." Before Crazy Yi could finish, Fong Ye said impatiently, "All right, greed is greed. Why do you have to exaggerate? If you hadn't seen the map and knew that there was a starry sky divine weapon here, I'm afraid you wouldn't have taken the risk to come here." With his lie exposed, Lunatic Yi smiled awkwardly. The two of them felt a lot more relaxed because they could sense that the starry sky martialist in front of them, who was also known as Fong Ye, had no intention of killing them. If a starry sky martialist had the intention to kill them, it would be really troublesome. "It seems that you are not afraid of me. Let me tell you something. After you hear it, I'm afraid you will cry." Her personality was too divided. The two of them, who had just relaxed, became nervous again because the two of them really couldn't understand Fong Ye in front of them. Whether she was a friend or a foe, they still didn't know. Because of this, they were not sure whether Fong Ye would attack them or not. "Let me tell you, Wen Lin was the one who leaked the map, and every time someone came in, I would kill them. Do you want to know why?" They were shocked. The two of them took 3 steps back again. If Fong Ye really attacked, no matter who it was, they wouldn't be able to resist. Seeing the two of them silent, Fong Ye said with a strange smile, "The reason is very simple. I don't want Wen Lin to go out. If you let Wen Lin go..." As if she didn't want to continue, Fong Ye took 3 steps forward and said, "So, I'm sorry. In order to prevent any accidents, you must die." As soon as the word die was said, Longao and Madman Yi screamed in their hearts. They knew very well that Fong Ye, as a starry sky martialist, was not an existence that they could compete with, even if she was just a first-level starry sky martialist. "Want to go?" Fong Ye's mouth slowly curved into a strange sneer. She didn't move, but just broke out the terrible power of the starry sky, which had already shrouded the two of them. Fong Ye was full of confidence. With her strength as a first-level starry sky martialist, it was easy to kill 2 Nirvana martialists. Under the starry sky, everyone was like an ant. In the eyes of starry sky martialists, even the powerful nirvana martialists were like ants. If a starry sky martialist wanted to kill a nirvana martialist, it would be 10,000 times easier than stepping on an ant. Just when Fangya was full of confidence that she could easily kill the two of them, Longao swung his sword and the reincarnation sword chi directly broke the starry sky chi shield covering him. The two of them left at the fastest speed. In the blink of an eye, they had disappeared without a trace. They were completely dumbfounded. What happened just now? Two insignificant nirvana martialists, who were like ants, were able to break his starry sky suppression. If he had not experienced it himself, he would not have believed it even if he was beaten to death. Little Ye, what's wrong with you? At this moment, a person suddenly appeared. It was Lu Chong, a first-level starry sky martialist, who was at the same level as Fangya. Looking at the dumbfounded Fangya, Lu Chong was very curious. He did not know what had happened to Fangya. According to Fangya's character, there seemed to be nothing that could make her like this. Could it be Wenlin? Little Ye, is Wenlin restless again? Shaking her head, Fangya still hadn't recovered from her shock. She sighed heavily and said helplessly, Lu Chong, two people have just entered this place. If I'm not mistaken, they should have found the map. However, they managed to avoid my starry sky suppression just now. Somewhat surprised, Lu Chong could not wait to ask, what are their strength? Are they at the first-level starry sky realm? In Lu Chong's view, with Fangya's strength, since the other party could break the starry sky suppression released by Fangya, it was very likely that they were first-level starry sky cultivators. If that was the case, things would be a bit troublesome. Could it be that when Lin found help? Fangya seemed to be able to guess the doubts in Lu Chong's heart. She shook her head and said, if they were first-level starry sky cultivators, it would be fine. But I'm afraid even you won't believe it. Not only are they not first-level starry sky cultivators, they can't even touch the edge of the starry sky realm. They are just in the nirvana realm. P.S. Little Gio apologizes. I've been really busy these days. I went home at 9 o'clock and wrote 5,000 words. I'm really tired. I'll probably finish it tomorrow night. If there is no accident, little Gio will have time the day after tomorrow. Chapter 1757. A Nirvana Realm Warrior? A Nirvana Realm Warrior could break through Fangya's starry sky suppression? Lu Chong did not believe it at all. With just a glance, Fangya had already guessed Lu Chong's doubts and disbelief. Not to mention Lu Chong, even she would not believe it if she had not experienced it herself. The other party was just a Nirvana Realm Warrior who had achieved the oneness of heaven and men realm. How could he break through her starry sky suppression? Little Ye, is it true? Looking at the dignified and puzzled Fangya, Lu Chong told himself that what Fangya said just now seemed to be true. That was why Lu Chong was a little impatient. Since the two of them have already come to this place, it will be very easy for us to track them down. Based on my guess, if I'm not mistaken, the reason why that person was able to break through my aura suppression is because he possesses a divine artifact. A starry sky divine weapon? Yes, a starry sky divine weapon. Not only a starry sky divine weapon, but it seems to be a level 4 starry sky divine weapon. Although he did not want to believe it, the fact was in front of him. Even Lu Chen was shocked when he heard this. Greed was written all over his face. He and Fangya were level 3 starry sky cultivators, so they did not have any level 4 or above level 4 starry sky divine weapons, especially the other party's starry sky divine weapon, which was obviously very powerful. If they could get such a starry sky divine weapon, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. Let's go. The two did not continue to hesitate. They followed the aura left by Longao and Madman Yi and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Starry Sky Divine Artifacts were categorized in the same way as Starry Sky Cultivators. From low to high, they were categorized into Grade 1 Starry Sky Divine Artifacts, Grade 2 Starry Sky Divine Artifacts, Grade 3 Starry Sky Divine Artifacts, Grade 4 Starry Sky Divine Artifacts, Grade 5 Starry Sky Divine Artifacts, Grade 6 Starry Sky Divine Artifacts, Grade 7 Starry Sky Divine Artifacts, Grade 8 Starry Sky Divine Artifacts, Grade 9 Starry Sky Divine Artifacts, Domain Lord Starry Sky Divine Artifacts, and Domain Emperor Starry Sky Divine Artifact. If the two of them knew that the Samsara Sword in Longao's hand was not only a Starry Sky Divine tool, but also a supreme treasure of the Samsara clan, who knew what they would think? Such a supreme treasure, except for the divine mathematician, perhaps no one could resist it. The two's speed was very fast, because provoking a Starry Sky Cultivator was not a good thing. If a Starry Sky Cultivator caught them, they would be killed without a doubt. Brother Long, is that a Starry Sky Divine weapon in your hand? Nodding, Longao didn't hide much from his friends. As for what grade of Starry Sky Spirit artifact the Samsara Arts was, even he didn't know about it. Madman Yi was shocked. Although he had guessed it, he still couldn't help but be shocked when he heard Longao admit it himself, because he knew better than anyone else what a Starry Sky Divine tool meant. He had never thought that Longao would be able to obtain a Starry Sky Divine tool. In this case, he believed that it wouldn't be difficult for Longao to kill enemies above his level. As if he could guess Madman Ye's curiosity and doubts, Longao said helplessly, "Although the Samsara Sword in my hand is a Starry Sky Divine tool, I can't really use the power of the Samsara Sword with my current strength. I hope my cultivation can break through the Starry Sky realm as soon as possible. Then, I can really master the Samsara Sword." Longao knew that unless his cultivation could reach the Starry Sky realm, the power of the Samsara Sword would slowly be exerted. Even so, the Samsara Sword could break through the suppression of the Starry Sky, which helped him a lot. Otherwise, if the Samsara Sword didn't break the Starry Sky Chi shield released by Fangya this time, he and Madman Yi would have died. "Brother Long, I've implicated you this time?" Madman Yi sighed deeply. If he had known that there was a Starry Sky Cultivator here, he wouldn't have stepped in easily even if he was beaten to death. Longao smiled and said indifferently, "If you still treat me as a friend, then cut the crap. The only thing we have to do now is to find a way to leave here. For the rest of our lives." Madman Yi was very moved. They knew very well that they were in a very dangerous situation and had to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, once they were discovered by a Starry Sky Cultivator, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Wait. Brother Long, what's wrong?" There was a bad premonition in his heart, because Lunatic Yi could clearly sense that the aura on Longao's body was somewhat irritated. Could it be that the two of them had already been discovered? Madman Ye's heart thumped when he thought of this. He would be lying if he said that he wasn't afraid. No matter what, the other party was a Starry Sky Cultivator. The gap between their realms was too big. It was like comparing the weight of an ant and an elephant. There was no need to compare at all. Everyone knew which one was heavier. Longao's face was very dignified. He said coldly, "If we stay here, we won't be able to get rid of the other party's lock." Since entering here, Longao discovered a problem. The space here was very strange. Not only could he not use spatial teleportation or enter the Dragon Seal space, but he couldn't even communicate with Long Fu, Xiling, and Bai Ling. This was what Longao was really helpless about. If he could enter the Dragon Seal space, then even if the other party was a Starry Sky Cultivator, he wouldn't be afraid. Longao didn't say this, but Madman Yi certainly knew the seriousness of the matter. He asked helplessly, "Brother Long, what should we do now?" He didn't know why, but Madman Yi trusted Longao very much. This was intuition and also the trust of a friend. What should I do? What should I do now? For a while, even Longao didn't have a good idea. As his cultivation broke through to the Nirvana realm, Longao found that his perception had greatly increased. Especially now, the sense of crisis was getting stronger and stronger. Moreover, his aura told him that the two of them had been locked on by the other party. He believed that the other party would arrive in a few minutes. This was really a troublesome matter. Brother Yi, I have an idea, but I don't know if you will agree. Please say. Madman Yi was delighted. As long as they could leave here, no matter what method it was, Madman Yi would definitely be willing. He couldn't wait because the Starry Sky cultivators would arrive at any time. The more they delayed, the more danger they would be in. Brother Yi, I have a broken divine tool that can forcibly open a space-time tunnel, but I can't guarantee that we won't be killed by the space-time crack. However, in this case we can only take a gamble. If we win, we can leave here safely. If we lose, you and I will die in the space-time crack. Why don't you take a gamble with me? No problem. Since they were going to die anyway, they might as well give it a try. Madman Yi was very clear that if they stayed, they would definitely die. In this case, they might as well choose to take a gamble. At least they would have a chance to leave here. Well, Brother Yi, in this case you can release all your strength later. Without waiting for Madman Yi to speak, Longao had already taken out the space-time wheel from his arms. If it was any other place, Longao was confident that he could send the two of them away. As for whether they would be killed by the space-time crack, it would depend on luck, because no one knew when their luck would be good and when it would be bad. However, in this case, if he forcefully used the space-time wheel, there would only be one result. Before the space-time wheel could send them away, they would be killed by the space-time crack. There was no chance of survival. For the sake of his friend, Longao was prepared to use the space-time wheel and his own strength to send Madman Yi away first. As for the certainty of success, it was already enough. Longao didn't tell Madman Yi about this matter because he knew that if Madman Yi knew about it, he would definitely not agree. In this case, he could only choose to hide it and send Madman Yi away first. A space-time divine tool was also an upgraded version of a spatial divine tool. Its power was even greater than a spatial divine tool. Madman Yi was very surprised when he saw the wheel in Longao's hand, because he had never imagined that Longao would not only have a Starry Sky divine tool, but also a space-time divine tool. How exactly did Longao obtain it? Brother Yi, go all out. Madman Yi nodded. He also knew the seriousness of the matter. In this case, they would be in more danger if they delayed for a minute. Madman Yi didn't dare to hesitate. He immediately channeled all the strength in his body and attacked with all his strength. Ever since Longao obtained the space-time wheel, he had been using all the strength in his body to nurture it. But even so, the space-time wheel had only recovered a little. It was basically impossible for it to reach its peak power. According to Longao's speculation, the space-time wheel he obtained was incredibly powerful. If the space-time wheel was at its peak, it could enter a space-time tunnel and enter any place at will. This was the power of the space-time wheel. However, to control the space-time wheel at its peak, only God knew how much strength was needed. The weakest one should be in the Starry Sky realm. Longao had already guessed that the space-time wheel was not only a divine tool, but also a Starry Sky divine tool. The more it was so, the more he looked forward to the space-time wheel at its peak. However, all this was based on his strength. Without strength, everything else was bullshit. Madman Yi's strength had already entered the space-time wheel. In this way, Longao had full confidence that he could send Madman Yi away. Friend, take care. This is all I can help you with. Longao didn't continue to hesitate because the danger he sensed was getting stronger and stronger. He had to send Madman Yi away as soon as possible. Otherwise, he wouldn't have another chance. All his strength entered the space-time wheel. Gradually, the flow of the surrounding space changed. But at this time, Madman Yi suddenly found that things were a little different. He immediately shouted in surprise, "Brother Long, what are you doing?" Longao didn't say anything. He just smiled. The next moment, before Madman Yi could continue, his figure was shrouded by space and disappeared without a trace. P.S. I only got home at 9:30. Wait for another chapter. Have a good rest tonight. You won't be busy tomorrow. Thank you for your understanding these days. Little Gio is very grateful. Chapter 1758. Only one could go. This was the current situation of the space-time wheel. In front of his friends, Longao was still his friend, not himself. Longao knew very well that with his strength, he could only use the space-time wheel once. In other words, if he sent Madman Yi away, he would not be able to use the space-time wheel a second time. It was almost impossible to leave here. On a deserted island in the outer sea, space-time flashed and Madman Yi's figure appeared on the island. It was very sad. Madman Yi suddenly kept slapping himself. Longao could do this for his friends, but what about him? Brother Long, I will treat you as my brother for the rest of my life. Friends were upgraded to brothers, brothers of life and death, brothers of life and death. Pain and sadness. But it had already happened. Even if he was a Nirvana realm warrior, there was nothing he could do. In the nameless forbidden space. You can actually break the space tunnel here, huh? There was a sound of surprise. The next second, Lu Chong and Fang Ye's figures had arrived. Their faces were full of shock and disbelief. They knew the situation of this space very well. Not to mention a little Nirvana realm warrior, even Wen Lin, a peak level 3 starry sky cultivator, could not break the space and leave. There was no surprise. There was no fear. After sending Madman Yi away, Longao had already guessed that this would be the result. Xiaoya, looks like our guess is right. This person has a lot of secrets on him. To be able to forcefully break open the space here, I think this divine weapon might be the legendary space-time wheel. Space-time wheel. Fang Ye's face was instantly filled with surprise and deep greed because she knew very well what the space-time wheel meant. What's your name? Longao. Longao was very wary of the two. Although he could break through the suppression of the Starry Sky Chi cover of the Starry Sky martial artist, it was almost impossible to contend against the Starry Sky martial artist. Longao, as long as you can promise me two things, I can spare your life. Let's hear it. Longao did not immediately agree because he did not know what Fang Ye wanted him to promise. If she wanted him to commit suicide, would he agree? It's simple. Fang Ye looked at the sword in Longao's hand and the space-time wheel. She said, "First, you must hand over your godly sword and space-time wheel." Without waiting for Longao to speak, Fang Ye continued, "The second thing is that you have to swear a blood oath that no matter what happens later, you will not help Wen Lin leave this place. What do you think?" Lu Chong didn't say anything. Lu Chong had always liked Fang Ye. If not for Fang Ye's constant opposition, the two of them would have been together a long time ago. If the other party could do these two things and keep this person alive, it wouldn't be much of a hindrance to them. There were two things. The second thing was that Longao might be able to agree to, because he didn't know who this Wen Lin was. Why did he let this person go? Did it have anything to do with him whether or not this person left? It didn't matter. As for the first thing, Longao would definitely not agree. The reason was very simple. No matter if it was the Samsara sword or the space-time wheel, they were both very important to him, especially the Samsara sword. According to the information he had received, the Samsara sword was of utmost importance if he wanted to find out about his origins and find the Samsara clan in the future. Miss Fang Ye. Hearing the words Miss Fang Ye, Fangya didn't react like before. It seemed that the two starry sky divine weapons in Longao's hands had intimidated her. Miss Fangya, the second thing is fine. As for the first thing, I can't agree to it. He wasn't surprised at all. The two of them had already guessed that the other party would not agree at all. Who would be willing to hand over such a super divine weapon casually? Not to mention the other party, even the two of them certainly couldn't do it. They didn't get angry at all, because in their opinion, it was already very good that the other party could only use the space-time wheel once. It was impossible for him to use it a second time. Otherwise, why didn't he use the space-time wheel to leave immediately? Longao, do you know what the divine weapon in your hands is? A starry sky divine weapon. It turned out that he knew. Since you already know, I won't beat around the bush. The starry sky divine artifact is useless in your hands. Only in our hands can it unleash a greater power. Do you believe that? Yes. Regarding this point, Longao definitely believed it 100%. The starry sky divine weapon must be in the hands of a starry sky martial artist to exert its power. But did it have anything to do with him? It was a robbery. Even if he couldn't exert the power of the starry sky divine weapon, did he have to hand it over? It was very shameless. The two of them didn't say it out loud, but the expression on their faces had already told them everything. It was still the same expression. The two of them didn't get angry at all, nor did they feel embarrassed at all. It was as if they were doing the most ordinary thing. Longao, hand over the two starry sky divine weapons. We can promise you that within 3 years, we can make you a starry sky martial artist, but you have to submit to the two of us. In their opinion, a little Nirvana realm martial artist, even if he had 2 starry sky divine weapons, could not compare with breaking through to the Nirvana realm. Therefore, in their opinion, the other party couldn't refuse their request at all. Longao indeed didn't say anything. Seeing this situation, the two of them suddenly looked happy. The reason was very simple. Even if the two of them were far stronger than the other party, they didn't dare to act rashly, because they didn't know whether Longao could destroy the 2 starry sky divine weapons. They were determined to get such super divine weapons. If they could get it smoothly, they absolutely didn't want any accidents to happen. Time went by little by little. Longao bowed his head and didn't speak. The two of them didn't speak either. Both of them kept silent. Longao knew very well that if he refused, the two of them would definitely attack him without hesitation. If soft methods didn't work, they would use hard methods. With his strength, it was impossible for him to resist the attack of 2 starry sky cultivators. In the end, he would definitely die. What should he do? He couldn't really hand over the Samsara sword and the space-time wheel. Just when the two of them were a little impatient, Longao suddenly raised his head and asked, "If I hand over the 2 starry sky divine weapons, can I really not die? And can you help me break through to the starry sky realm within 3 years?" "There's no problem at all. Lu Chong and I are both 3rd-level starry sky cultivators. It's a piece of cake for us to help you break through to the starry sky cultivator, especially here. An empty promise. As for whether the two of them could do it, no one except the two of them would know. P.S. Xiaojiu, go to sleep first. Have a good night's rest. You won't be busy tomorrow. You can write well." You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.